Good morning, and welcome to the first episode of Blood and Grit. This is going to be our new Weird West mini series that I'm very excited for. Trying some new things, doing some different stuff, and in particular, hi, I'm Zeke Gonzalez. I'm going to be the GM this morning, and I use he/him pronouns, and I'm a game designer. I've previously gotten the opportunity to be on a couple of little TPK role play events here and there. So I'm really excited for this mini series. And I'll talk very briefly about what we're playing, and then we'll get to meet our lovely treasure hunters. So today we're playing Devil Aim for Me, which is a weird West incursion for the Trophy Dark RPG. If you've never played Trophy Dark, don't worry. The rules are really simple and easy, and we will explain them as we go along. All you need to know is that Trophy Dark is a collaborative storytelling game about a group of treasure hunters on a doomed expedition. It is very likely that all of the treasure hunters will die or at best be permanently scarred or changed, destroyed by their desires. So this game is a prologue during which we will create and establish the setting and some characters of our world for future games in a failed gold mining town called Resurrection. This incursion just have content warnings for gun violence, possibly just some veiled cruelty to animals, fire, burning, strike breaking, and alcoholism. So make the best choice for you this morning. And that's enough from me. Let's meet our treasure hunters. So, Proper, you want to go first?
Hello, everyone. I chose the world's worst snack for a stream, pretzels, so we'll see how this goes. Um, my name is Proper Nerdy. I'm a TPK staff member, role player, game designer, etc. And I use he, him pronouns. Today, I'll be playing Patience Hawthorne, who is a race that is yet to be named of greyhound like humanoids. Tall and gaunt and dark. She's going to be exciting, I'm sure. Um, Below me is Lukalak.
Good morning. I am Luke Locke, and this morning I am playing Maddox Graves, a drifter of human race. It's really unsure at first glance, and they mostly stick to the shadows. And over to my left is Janie.
Hi, I'm Janie. I forgot what I was supposed to do. So
Your pronouns and your character.
my character is Therese, I think. Yeah. And she is a homesteader. She's just trying to make some money to help her sister out. And she looks just humanish.
No real humans so far. And how do you pronounce your character's name?
Therese. I guess that's how you pronounce it. I like the way it looked.
If it were French, it'd be Therese.
Okay, well, I can't do an accent this early.
And Corndog.
It's me, Corndog. I am here playing Trudy Spriggan, the preacher's daughter, as it were. And I am definitely human. Just a run-of-the-mill human.
The definitely really sold it for me. I don't know about anybody else. What are Trudy's pronouns, really quick?
She, her, for Trudy.
Okay, cool. So, all Trophy Dark incursions typically start with some sort of little poem. And I find reading them is good to sort of set the scene, get everyone vibing in the same sort of space. So this is the poem that Devil Aim for Me starts, which, by the way, I should have mentioned before, is by Michael Van Vleet. You can find Michael as Signal Station on Twitter and itch.io if you want to check this incredible incursion out. And yeah, so without further ado, let's start Devil Aim for Me. Oh, the prairie's home to both beasts and men, and wherever I roam, it don't matter when. There's just one thing keeps me warm at night. It's my dreams of gold and of trophies bright. Now a cowboy dreams underneath big skies. On a prairie bed, they can rest their eyes. But when cowboys passed and their stories told, what's a man's true worth measured out in gold? And we come upon our little band of wannabe bounty hunters arriving on the outskirts of a town called Resurrection. They have been called together in order to claim the bounty on a bank robber and noose dodger. And people say that this man was in fact shot dead and brought back to life by a lightning strike. This man is Henry Bantam, and it's his bounty that the lot of you seek. And so, what do we see as the characters arrive at the predetermined meeting place, the town's notice board? Who arrives first?
I think Therese would be early.
And what does Therese look like?
Therese is she's kind of tall, really thin, like I would say bird-like wrist, really tiny. She has got a hat on and her hair is like tied back, and she's got like the homesteader looking dress and her bag of supplies. And she's just ready to go and get this bounty.
So we see Therese sort of trotting up and looking over at this dead or alive poster. And who arrives next, slinking around the side of the notice board?
I think Maddox would show up next. Just kind of slinking onto the scene. They're very tall and lanky and seem to be made of very harsh shadows and light. Almost as if always under the noon sun.
Oh wow, suspended on dust and wind. And is there any interaction between the two of you? How well do you know each other?
Maddox lurks around here and there in the town, so you may have seen them before, but it would be nothing more than a polite tip of the hat, which they will do now upon gathering in front of this board.
Therese
ready
will.
for the job?
Yes, I'm ready. Therese is like probably wouldn't see her much because she's probably doing all the normal town stuff, whatever you call that. Shopping.
Oh,
Whatever
yeah.
those people who live in a town do.
Oh, yes, town
Like
things.
the normal, like boring things. Nothing exciting. This is like the most boring person.
So not the sort of person you'd expect to be hunting for a bounty.
No.
And as the sun continues to rise, we see it silhouetted blood red against the distant mountain bluffs. And who arrives in the light of that bloody sun?
Glinting, the sun kind of blinds you a bit, but in the distance you can already see Patience's shotgun strapped to her back, and she slowly approaches town. She's wearing a light blue dress. She wants to keep a bit of her femininity, even though she has been working the buffalo hunting in town, and she approaches kind of cautiously, but confidently.
And with that dust cloud kicked up, how do we see Trudy arriving at the town's notice board where this wanted poster has just been hammered up?
Trudy is very rushed. She is running to the notice board herself, not to look at the wanted poster, but to put up a poster of her own. asking people or telling people the new church hours for town, not wanting to let the church down. So hurriedly running to the board, not caring what posters are underneath it, she just puts hers in the center, farthest poster forward, and then just kind of like looks around at the other folks just standing there and like, new hours.
Do you believe that you just covered up someone's reward for their horse?
They'll figure it out.
And as you sort of put that up and actually take a moment and see Henry Bantam's wanted poster, what sort of eyes does he have? They catch your attention. What sort of desert-dwelling animal do they remind you of?
I'd like to think that it's similar to that of a lizard, and only because it has like the way the eyes are formed on the picture is that it's slightly like you feel like the eyelids are closer to the outsides rather than like up down. There's a little bit of those like, I can't remember what type of eyelids they're called. Where's heck in chat? But that like would shut the eyes essentially vertically instead of horizontally.
I mean, we're literally playing with Zeke, so I should have expected some animal talk this early.
Love some horizontal eyelids. Excellent. So that sort of catches your attention, and all of you begin to notice that some locals are gathering around the poster. There's the muddy street. Occasionally you can see there's some wooden planks that cover some of the deep mud falls that have begun to grow as the dry season is ending. And they're sort of muttering, pointing up at the wanted poster, and they seem to be taking in the lot of you, especially those of you with weapons. And these are people that you know, but they seem to be reacting negatively to this wanted poster. People are afraid. And in fact, one of them saunters forward and he says, you lot going after Bantam.
Yeah, for the bounty. I need the money.
After that nonsense he pulled down in Elksville?
That's why we're going.
Sorry, what was that?
I said, that's why we're going.
I don't rightly care what he's done or what he hasn't done. If there's a bounty on his head, I need it, so we're gonna go down and get him.
You know, they say his boots melted. Bullets ran right out of his chest like prairie dogs fleeing a flooded burrow. You going after a man who he spoke to the devil at the crossroads. This isn't going to end well for you or resurrection.
I don't know. I've had my fair share of dealing with the devil. I think you should worry about yourself.
And Patience, what sort of devil do you think that Bantam has made? What sort of deal do you think Bantam has made based on what you've heard and superstition and your own experience?
I would say the most common deal one makes with the devil is for power. Having a bit of experience with that herself. And so she probably assumes that Bantam has asked for some kind of dangerous power or ungodly power, I should say.
And what do you think he gave for that power?
Now, you see, the soul is a common thing to trade for, but I'm not sure Patience believes that he ever had a soul. So something darker than that, perhaps, like, the goodwill of the town that he is from. So he gave up other people's goods as opposed to his own.
And as that this conversation has begun to as this conversation has continued on, you all can hear the clinking of spurs as the sheriff, this big buffalo of a man in bright whites, his shining star on his unstained tunic approaches, or on the brooch of his lapel, and he sticks his thumbs in his belt loops and he looks out over you and he says, Therese, you're going out with this lot?
Yes, sir. I got to get some money together to help Marie.
There's lots of ways to make money. This the one you choosing for yourself or your lot?
It's the fastest way. I gotta help her.
And his gaze then settles down on Trudy, and he raises an eyebrow, and he says, now what's a nice preacher's daughter like you doing going after Bantam?
Well, you see, we can't have folks going around making deals with the devil here in Resurrection, so we're just going to nip that in the bud.
You think you're just gonna ride out there and cut him down like he's a errant weed in your garden?
Yes.
Okay. And Trudy, what have you heard is the name of Bantam's horse? And what about it, what physical mark on it sets it apart from others?
I would like to believe that this horse is named Midnight. And it is an all-black horse with a single white star shape on its forehead. But very dark features otherwise. Dark hooves, dark eyes. The only thing that has any type of light to it is the single star-shaped white patch on the forehead.
Okay, cool. So as you know, we think about why we're all choosing to do this, the sheriff sort of once again looks across all of you and says, now remember, bounty's only for Bantam. His gang's not worth anything. Y'all be wanting a map up to where they say he's staying?
Yeah.
And the sheriff looks over at the notice
got
board, tears down an old notice, and he begins to draw a map of the Southlands on the back. And he sort of gesturing to you as he draws, the crowd sort of growing thicker around you as they're trying to figure out what's going on here. He says, the base of the Horns, those mountains off outside Resurrection, the base of the Horns is the pit, the abandoned mining camp. They say he's there somewhere among those and among those abandoned dig sites. Any of them could serve as a bandit hideout. Y'all be careful now. And he proffers it up as if to hand it over.
Maddox will reach out a hand and grab the map.
As you begin to pull the map, he tightens his grip on it for just a moment, and then he looks you dead in the eyes and he says, remember, living or dead, it don't matter, before letting it go.
Dead's easier.
And he sort of leans back again, sort of looking around at the group around that is beginning to form, and just says, well, reckon whatever you were before, y'all are bounty hunters now. And he turns and begins to jingle his spurs, making metallic sounds as he makes his way back through the crowd, which you are now facing. You can begin to hear murmurs of discontent, people sort of startled that members of their own community are going out after this dangerous bandit criminal. Does anybody step up to the plate in order to try to calm them down or to get out of here? Or are you all just going to try to slip through the crowd the way the sheriff did?
Teresa's going to be like, oh, it's okay. Well, it's fine. We'll be back in time for the potluck. And I'll still make my...
Oh, yes, the classic Old West potlucks.
Yeah, I got a special cake that I make for the potluck. I can give you the recipe if you want.
I don't got much time for cooking these days, but I'm sure my future family would appreciate.
Yeah, when we get back, it'll be around the time of it. So definitely, you want to try her. Like she points to somebody in the crowd. She's got a great chili that you can try.
The Widow Marlin makes an exceptional lemon bar.
Okay, so it sounds like Therese, you're going to try to disperse the crowd with just talking about community, talking about the things that you've shared, and try to use that to sort of disperse this rising tide of anger, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be our first risk roll. So Trophy Dark, there's only a couple of rolls in the game, and a risk roll happens whenever a player states an outcome they want that has the possibility of failure. So what is your desired outcome for this risk roll?
Just for the people to disperse.
Okay, excellent. So you're hoping that you can just disperse the crowd. So are you aided in this task by any of your skills, your character skills that come from your occupation, your background?
Oh great, I didn't write down what these do. I have Salt of the Earth and White Hat for my talents.
So those are your talents. Do you remember what you have written down for your background and your occupation? Those come with skills that we can see if they have.
Spirit, Medium, and Homesteader.
Okay, so I assume you're saying homesteader, cooking, community potluck. That's sort of what you're going for here.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go ahead and get a light die for that. So go ahead and take one six-sided dice, and then as we continue to build your pool, we'll go around with Devil's Bargain. So everybody at the table gets to offer a Devil's Bargain, which is something that will happen no matter what if Janie accepts it. And if she chooses to accept one, then they get an additional six-sided dice to add to their pool to roll for the risk roll. So a Devil's Bargain would be something like, I guess I'll go first here. So regardless of the outcome of your roll, a vulture lands on the notice board and pulls away the poster of Bantam. So not something that necessarily has like a big consequence, but a story beat. Does anybody else have a Devil's Bargain they want to offer?
Not at the moment.
A week from now, the new family that just moved in and plowed a land, their horse will die.
So typically we want a Devil's Bargain to be something that affects the story now, although I really like that idea. Is there anything you think that could happen?
You just know it will happen soon.
You just know.
You just know.
You just look at the horse and go, oh no.
Fucking got you.
Sorry, we've set a kind of goofy precedent. No, I like the one you've set up. I don't think anything right now would make sense.
So the sort of classic Devil's Bargains ideas that can maybe inspire us moving forward are something about what the character tries to do causes collateral damage or unintended harm. They get lost, they sacrifice or lose something important, or they attract unwanted attention. Any of those could all sort of be Devil's Bargain sorts of things. But it sounds like there's only one offer right now, which is basically you get a little bit of unwanted attention, and that this vulture lands and pulls the poster right above you. What do you think? Would you like to accept that Devil's Bargain for a dice, or are you going to pass on that one?
I'll take that bargain.
Okay. And do you want to add a dark dice to risk your mind and body for a higher chance of success?
You know what? Why not?
Okay, so you get 2 light dice and 1 dark dice. So that's 3d6, and go ahead and roll those.
You said I got 2 regular dice and 1 dark dice?
Mm-hmm. So as long as you know which color your dark dice is, it doesn't matter if it's actually dark or whatever.
Well, I'm using a roller and I'm just like writing down what my dice are.
Perfect.
So you said I need to roll 2.
You roll 3.
3, okay.
You just have to know which one is your dark dice. It has to be different somehow.
So light. Oh, come on. What am I doing wrong here? All right, just one moment. Wait, we have a roll 20, don't we?
There is. You can roll in there if you want.
Oh, that'll take too long. So, she really is up in this angle of her being, this homesteader that everybody knows for her cake, and she never does anything like this, so it's got to be important.
And once you've rolled all three, just let us know what the highest dice was, what number it was.
Okay, sorry, it's taking a minute.
It's okay. We're figuring out the kinks.
This is betraying me. I thought I had it all set up nicely, and it's betraying me.
Let me know if you want something else to roll for you.
Yes, until I can straighten out my chaos, yes.
How many light and how many dark?
2 light, 1 dark.
You rolled a 6 and a 4 on your light and a 3 on your dark.
Okay, so the dark dice is the lowest, so you don't have to worry about anything going wrong there. And with the 6, so in Trophy Dark, we take the highest roll from your dice pool, and a 6 is a complete success. So why don't you describe how you're able to use your personality and your connection to this community to disperse this angry crowd?
Therese mentions the potluck again, and somebody mentions what they're bringing, and she just kind of gets into a little conversation with them, and the crowd just, a couple people have their interjections and talk about what they're doing or how somebody got sick off of somebody's dish, and they all just sort of calm down. They're back to being a normal small West Town, out in the West Town selves, and they just all start to walk away.
Okay, yeah, we see the crowd. Yeah, so the crowd begins to disperse. A few people go and check out the new church schedule before walking away, and one young man sort of turns as if he's going to say something, and then looks across you, and then turns away, and then he looks over his shoulder and he just says, "Please be careful," and he steps off into town. And looking down at the map, you can see it guides you out of Resurrection and up into the hills, up into the mountains.
Let's get moving.
Thank you.
You all have horses?
Absolutely.
None of them were that missing horse, right?
What?
I would say that as a greyhound, Patience can run on her own and probably trusts herself more than she can trust.
This is the most horrifying thing I've ever imagined. You keeping pace with a horse.
They are really, really fast. I mean, I guess possibly a horse would be a lot faster. So if need be, she has a connection town she can reach out to.
Whatever happens today, nothing will be as terrifying as Patience Hawthorne just keeping pace with my horse in the open desert.
So as you all begin to set out, we sort of focus back in on the wanted poster, seeing it clearly for the first time. And Maddox, where does Bantam have a distinctive scar, and what do you think caused the injury?
He's got a scar right across his lips, where they're kind of separated when he smiles. And he got it from one of those devil dogs over in the canyon. Staying out too late. You don't go there at night.
Excellent. And you all are leaving town, leaving Resurrection. How does it feel?
I'd say Patience was never really a part of Resurrection. I think that part of her died many years ago. And she's been drifting from town to town, kind of wherever the buffalo roam, and she looks at the town in kind of worry because she kind of just sees ruin everywhere, and so she turns her face and doesn't look at Resurrection again.
Maddox slides out of this town like grease on a hot pan, just like they slid in.
Therese looks back kind of sadly, like she's going to miss it while she's gone. A little lone tear rolls down her eyes, and she wipes her face with her handkerchief and keeps going.
And Trudy's excited about an adventure, but her face is resting determined to expunge this area of anyone who would make deals with the devil. So she is ready to just either exorcise this man or kill him if need be.
That's a godly thing to do here.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I also love you thinking that as you're riding alongside Patience.
Yeah.
And you all begin to make your way out of town. And at the crossroads outside of town, you all see a tall, pale tree. It is the last tree on the open plain for miles. Its white bark stands in contrast to the charred and jagged patterns left by lightning strikes and tongues of fire that clearly struck it. And from a low branch, which you couldn't see from town, but now that you've left the county proper, you can see a woman's body is dangling here, a rope around her neck.
Does it look fresh?
You can see buzzards in the high branches of the tree that look like they're working their way on getting down, coming closer. That tells you this is very fresh. They haven't touched her yet. They're watching her turn.
I expect she's spent enough time up there. What say we cut her down and lay her to rest?
Patience will pull from her back her shotgun and take aim for the rope.
Okay.
I'm not using my Becoming Myth, but I will use my occupation for Buffalo Hunter. Long shots is one of my skills.
Okay. So this is definitely a risk roll. Your desired outcome is shooting down this woman's body, and you get 1 light die for your skills. And
also, would I get another one for my background, skilled in coordination?
You unfortunately cannot double up.
Just double
even if
checking.
Multiple skills. Yeah, you only get 1 dice. But for Devil's Bargain, I think if you, regardless of the outcome, the vultures will swarm the group. Does anybody else have a Devil's Bargain they'd like to offer?
I had one and I forgot it. Oh my gosh.
That's okay.
I think it was something like it would like something this woman, whatever she was hung for, somebody in the party will take blame.
How would that take effect right here? I like that idea. I really like that sort of transferal of guilt somehow.
Well, since the vultures are there, maybe one would like land on that person's shoulder
While they're okay, yeah.
and just be like follow them for a while.
Okay, so one of the vultures will follow Patience no matter the outcome. Okay, awesome. I love that. Anybody have another Devil's Bargain they want to offer? Luca or Corn Dog?
Their meal today successfully and lay this body of this poor woman to rest. I would expect that as a trade for balance, one of my water skins dries up. instantly, as if sucked dry by the devil himself.
Okay, awesome. So one of Maddox's water skins could get sucked dry. And Corndog, do you have a devil's bargain?
I was trying to think of one, and then Luca was super cool, and I'm gonna let that devil's bargain be
Okay,
the bargain
so
of choice right now because that's too dope.
Proper, there's three devil's bargains on the table. Any of them calling to you?
I will take yours for sure, and I think I'll take Luca's as well. That does mean I have more dark dice than I have light dice, but it's fine.
You get light dice for accepting devil's bargains.
Oh, well, you do. How exciting!
Mhm. And you can only accept one, unfortunately. I
Oh,
know.
okay, that's even better. I was like, do I need to take more? No, I really like yours actually because
Okay.
Patience feels that like if at least she is like being returned back to the earth in some way faster than it would if she just rotted on the line. So I will take Zeke your devil's bargain that she will be swarmed as soon as she
Okay.
comes down.
And do you want to take a dark dice for risking your mind and body?
No, I don't. I think that she wants the best for this person, but she's gonna try once, and if she misses, then she's gonna say that there's darker things here.
Okay, go ahead and roll your 2d6 and let's see what the highest number is.
Oof, it's a 3.
A 3. So things get worse. So why don't you describe, what does it look like? How does Patience aim? She was sort of loping along on all fours before this. And so why don't you give us a nice visual shot of her taking aim and firing?
So she certainly doesn't have any like religious experience or anything, but she does have a respect for the dead, and so she kind of comes along on all fours and quickly notices the is it a woman hanging from this this noose?
Yes.
So she'll quickly notice that and come up onto her hind legs and stand upright. And after a few moments' decision, she'll just pull the shotgun from behind her back, and she'll very carefully take aim and blast just one bullet at the gun at the rope, trying to sever it from the tree. And should I also describe how it misses, or is that for you?
No, I describe how things get worse. So
Cool.
Patience takes aim and fires, and this woman's body falls. The vultures scatter upwards and immediately begin to fly down towards Patience. However, the rest of you note, as the woman's body falls, her eyes snap open, the milky orbs within looking out at all of you as she falls, not a corpse to the ground, but a ghastly ghoul landing on all fours, drool immediately bubbling up from her mouth and spilling to the dry ground. And there is also a swarm of vultures that has descended around Patience, cawing and shrieking. Any of the rest of you want to try to figure this out?
No, but player is like badass.
So who takes action to try to either help Patience or take care of this ghoul, this ghoulish woman?
Maddox will kick over a leg and hop down from their horse. And walking almost too slowly for the imminent danger, they will begin to just bleed bright red blood down from their eyes as they unholster their weapon.
Okay, so
and I'm using Gila Monster's gift to try and intimidate this. This is a mechanic.
Excellent. Okay, I love it. Yeah, Gila monsters. For those of you who don't know, this is a real thing. Gila monsters can actually, and well, some lizards, especially desert lizards, can actually squirt blood, hot blood, from their eyes to deter predators. So that's where this comes from. And so you are using a becoming myth. So this is also a risk roll. So you automatically take a dark dice because you're using ritual and you're trying to scare away this unholy undead thing. So is this task aided by your skills?
Unfortunately not. I feel like my drifter skills, I mean, unless there's something opportunistic that my petty criminal background would be here, I don't know if there's anything that way.
Okay, I don't think petty criminal probably
Yeah.
quite helps you here. And does anybody have a devil's bargain to offer? Something else that could change in this scene for Luca/Maddox? I would actually re-offer your previous devil's bargain to you, which is in using this skill and drawing on this power, your water skin is sucked dry.
Absolutely, I will accept.
Does anybody else have one they want to offer, or we want to just roll with that one?
I don't have anything specific, so I would say just roll with that one.
Okay. All right. And if Luca likes that one, then let's go ahead and add that. So go ahead and roll 1 light dice and 1 dark dice.
All right. 3 and a 1, so 4.
A 4. So it is a success with complication. So why don't you describe the success and I will describe the complication.
I will walk over smoothly, and the blood just pouring down my face will give this ghoul pause. It clearly thought we were easier pickings. And in that moment of pause, quicker than any eye could track, I will pull out my gun and fire a bullet directly into its forehead and drop it.
Okay, excellent. And so this creature drops, and you begin to notice something strange. The ground around it where it falls, that sort of dry brown and red of the dusty prairie, that color is beginning to leach away. And you realize the ground around the corpse is beginning to turn the same pallid gray as it in a path that is moving towards you. And so Trudy and Patience, there's 2 things going on. Trudy and Therese, there are 2 things going on. Patience is being swarmed by vultures, and something strange is happening potentially that is going to affect Maddox with the ground sort of drawing the color out of the air. Either of you want to do something here to try to help one of your companions?
Can I try to shoot the vultures away?
Yeah, for sure. So we just see Trudy like unholster her weapon and take aim at the vultures.
It's Therese.
Therese, oh my God, I'm sorry.
I have no idea how she'd do it because I don't think she brought too much with her. I don't know why.
Okay, so you want to shoot away the vultures. Is this task aided by any of your skills?
I don't know how. I guess maybe she's used to shooing vultures away from things at the homestead.
Want to establish that there are a lot of corpses at your homestead you're shooting vultures away from?
Lots of corpses at the homestead.
Okay, that's sufficiently grim. And does anybody have any devil's bargains for Therese?
I feel like I used up my good one.
The closest I have is I feel like quite a bargain, but we'll see what happens. That even if you do get them to disperse, one of them will nick you in the face and leave a scar there.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to add was once again about the vultures, and like if they do disperse, they just kind of circle and follow us as we continue on, like waiting for one of us to be the next to drop.
Okay,
I do like that one.
those. Yeah, would you like to accept either of those?
And I can't accept both.
You can't. I know. This game. The good thing is you can sit on some of those. We can save some of those juicy ones. Save them.
Yeah,
up.
we could always find more to hunt us later. It'll be fine.
You can die now or you can die later. It's fine.
I'll take the vultures circling them, looking for their next meal.
Okay. So no matter the outcome, the vultures will continue to follow you. Go ahead and roll your, oh wait, I'm sorry. So that's your light dice for the Devil's Bargain. And do you want to risk your mind and body on a dark dice roll?
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead and roll one light dice and one dark dice. Tell us what the higher number is.
Okay. Okay, my light dice is a 4.
Okay.
And my dark dice, if I can do this correctly, is a 6.
Okay, so that is a complete success. However, the dark dice is the highest, and I assume it's higher than your current ruin score because your ruin's not 6. So
Correct.
your ruin increases by 1, and this is perfect. So why don't you describe for us what the complete success is here? And I will add a little addendum to it as your ruin goes up, how this rolls into that.
This is such a good success. Tariq, all she has to do is like hold the gun up and she says, "You know what's coming next." And they kind of look at her, and one of them just, I don't know what sound a vulture makes, but it makes a vulture sound.
Oh yeah, nice squawking sound.
And then fly away.
Okay, so you don't even have to fire. You literally just talk them off.
Yeah, because they know what's coming next. If I have to, like.
So those vultures sort of swarm around Patience, and in that moment, almost as if standing among the crowd, you see the indistinct silhouette of a figure, and that figure points at you. And the vultures swarm off at your words, but they continue to swarm and circle in the air above, not the group, but you. You know that they are waiting for you to fall as your ruin increases by 1. And Trudy, this is all happening around you. You can see the ground is leaching the color out of the air from the corpse of this ghoul, heading directly for Maddox. How are you going to try to help them?
So Maddox is like getting close to being face to face with the ghoul, essentially.
The ghoul has fallen, but something about it falling is drawing the color out of the air in a way that you can tell is potentially going to put Maddox at threat.
I am going to walk up alongside Maddox, and I am going to pull out my holy symbol, which is undecided as of this moment. We're workshopping it. But I am going to just focus on the energy that's in the ground and attempt to compel it to go further into the ground while leaving everything that's up here like safe. So
Excellent.
Essentially trying to use that get thee behind me mechanic that I have as a preacher's daughter to just kind of like force this energy away.
Okay, classic. So is this task aided by your skills? Preacher's daughter.
Preacher's daughter, I would definitely think so. But my occupation is prospector, and a lot of that has to do with determination.
Okay.
So she is walking up just as determined as she was to find this man who made a deal with the devil to send whatever demon this is into the soil, back to the pits of hell.
Okay. So you get 1 light die for that. And does anybody have any devil's bargains about things that could happen here? I have one. I think regardless of the outcome, the demon or spirit or whatever this is takes a corporeal form at you, drawing a holy symbol on it. Does anybody else have devil's bargain?
Where were the vultures last time that we saw them?
The vultures are now circling high in the air above Therese.
Then I would say that one of the devil bargains is if you do get it to leave you alone, it'll take over the body of one of the vultures. Perhaps.
Okay. So possibly...
I had one, but I want that.
Okay.
Oh, okay, cool.
So we've got demon takes corporeal form, or we've got demon possesses vulture. Would you like to take either of those devil's bargains for a light dice?
I think I'm actually going to take the one where the demon takes the corporeal form as like a way to kind of validate what she's trying to do here too. So like, because I feel like if it just like floated off into a vulture, I'd be like, yeah, fuck. But I don't know that Trudy would be super aware of that. Whereas if she saw it take the corporeal form, we might get a little shooketh.
Okay, love that. And are you risking your mind and body to perform this
Hell
exorcism?
yeah. Let's fuck around and find out.
Okay, so go ahead and roll 2 light die and a dark die.
I got a 6 on one of my light die and then a 3 and a 2.
Okay, excellent. So that is a complete success. So why don't you describe what it looks like as this demon takes corporeal form and also as you banish it?
So I'd like to think that it tries to mimic a little bit of like what Maddox was attempting to do with like the creepy bleeding eyes and just kind of like mimic what it last saw. So taking on a little bit of Maddox form and then also trying to like pull in Trudy to be like, if I make my being look familiar to these two that are attacking me, maybe they'll stop. But it doesn't work because Trudy's like, I'm the only one of me in this town. And she just kind of leans into as it starts to look more and more real, like leaning in with all the determination to prevent it from actually taking full form.
Okay, and what does that look like? Does it like disperse like dust? Does it sink into the ground? Is something else going on here?
I like the dust motif. It's kind of like a big gust of wind comes through, and as that gust of wind comes in, you can't tell if it's the sand from the desert or if it's dust or if it's this demon anymore. It just kind of exits scene, and it's
And
just Maddox and Trudy just standing there like, well, fuck.
so as the dust sort of carries this demon away, Maddox, what is one feature of the demon that you notice? Something that stands out about it, something that makes it look inhuman to you before it's dissipated? Maddox?
I think it's just gonna like kind of lean back its head and smile at first, and then the smile is just gonna like spread too wide as its eyes kind of like merge with the smile and it takes over its face.
Okay, so yeah, we see that unearthly smile before it is pushed away. And you are left standing at the base of this lightning struck tree with this fallen corpse and vultures now circling high overhead. And you can all now see that there's a Bible propped up against the base of the tree.
I'm actually gonna turn to Corndog, what's your character again?
Trudy.
Trudy. I'm just say I thank you for your assistance in that matter.
You're welcome. Just, it really fuels me to just get rid of demons here just outside of Resurrection.
I appreciate it. And I'll walk off towards the tree to see what we got going on here.
And I will follow.
Okay, yeah. So the two of you approach, and you can see this book, and you can see that it has that. It's sort of this very light, dusty blue, clearly worn and well used. You can see the gold embossed title, which literally just says Holy Bible. It looks like the holy has been sort of defaced, like it's been sort of scratched out, but you can still make it out underneath. And it's just resting against the base of the tree.
I suppose I should
This
grab
does
that.
seem like your wheelhouse. If you
I'm gonna go and just pick up the Bible that should not be on the ground.
Okay, yeah. As you touch it, you feel this slight like electric thrill run through your body, as if something about the lightning struck tree has carried that into the Bible itself. But you pick it up, it has sort of those gold gold edges, that the tips of the pages have that shine to them. And as you open it up and begin to look through it, you can see it's been annotated very heavily. A lot of things have been scratched out. There are disturbing images drawn in the borders, strange demons, crawling shapes, shining stones. And I need you to make me a ruin roll. So please go ahead and roll a d6. And if it is higher than your current ruin, your ruin will increase by 1.
Well, fortunately, I have plenty of ruin, so hopefully that won't happen, but we'll find out. I rolled a 2, and I have 4 ruin currently.
Okay, so your ruin does not change. You are able to just sort of steadfastly scan through this strange annotated Bible.
Neat. As I'm scrolling through, I'm like growing increasingly concerned and like watching the vultures and stuff unfold, but I'm like tapping my foot, wanting to go to the next location, even more so now, if this lightning that struck this woman has anything to do with the lightning that struck the person we are hunting.
Okay. Yeah, so you want to continue to follow the map into the mountains?
Yes.
Yeah, does the map show very clearly?
The map shows that you want to pass down through the gorge, and then up towards the Horns, which are a pair of sort of high-peaked mountains in the valley between which is the abandoned gold mine where you were told Henry Bantam might be hiding with his gang.
I only ask because I've got Sky Knows the Way and I'm just looking for a chance to use it.
What does Sky Knows the Way do?
I can glance up at the sun or the stars and know where I need to go.
Okay. Do you want to try to use that to find a shortcut here? Maybe circumvent the gorge where you know those devil dogs are?
Absolutely. Yeah, I can use the sun or stars to navigate accurately.
Okay, awesome. So this is becoming myth, right?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a supernatural element to this as well, and using it as a risk roll. Do you still want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
So we're trying to find a way around this devil dog infested gorge. So why don't you, so this is a ritual, or this is becoming myth, so take a dark dice for that. And is your task aided by any of your character's skills, any of Maddox's skills?
I don't know. Drifter says I'm skilled in loneliness, whistling, and hiding, but I don't know if it would also assist me in just I am able to drift through the desert successfully. I'm used to just kind of looking around and finding my way, but I don't know if it counts.
I'm not sure that quite fits here.
Yeah.
If you were to say it's
trying.
you're hiding from the devil dogs, perhaps, but
Still kind of a stretch.
Zeke said no.
Does anybody have any ideas for devil's bargains that could affect Maddox as they try to sort of use this supernatural power to tune into the landscape around them, the sun, which is this just bleeding sphere on the very edge of the horizon. Seems like it has not moved since dawn.
I have one that just popped into my head. While you are using the sun to seek guidance, the white hot sun will remind you of the white glint of the teeth on that demon, and it'll give you a like a blinding headache while you're trying to navigate.
I like that one a lot. I think no matter the outcome here, a possible devil's bargain is the sun becomes the moon and you realize it is pitch darkness.
Oh.
It is no longer day. It has been night. Something has changed. Anybody else have a devil's bargain?
What if the sun, like using the sun this time means that they can only move forward, not backwards? by following the sun.
Inability to move backwards. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. So there's 3 devil's bargains. Any of them appealing to you?
I mean, it's potentially gonna make things crazier, but Zeke, I really like yours.
Okay, so go ahead and take a light die for accepting a devil's bargain. And
All right.
you've got 1 light die and 1 dark die. Let's let her rip.
Okay. The dark is a 6, the light is a 4. So 10
Okay.
total.
So I'm assuming that that's higher than your current ruin, the 6.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so your ruin mark goes up by 1. However, it is a complete success. So why don't you describe the shortcut that you find, and as the sun suddenly turns to a full and luminous moon, stars twinkling above you. What is this shortcut that circumvents the canyon? What is the landscape like? Why did nobody know about it? Why just you? How do you take them through it?
Yeah, so back in the days when mining was happening real hard out here, prospectors would have their canine companions guard their personal belongings while they were working. These dogs became vicious, scare off potential thieves. Sadly, many were left or shot after the ore ran out. But if you just sit there and listen, you can hear them whining for their owners to come back. So you can navigate carefully through the canyon as long as you stop and you listen real quiet.
Excellent. So Maddox navigates you through the secret places of this canyon, moving by the sounds of the devil dogs in the night. They're whimpering for their lost owners, their violent cries. And as you do so, you find that your skin is beginning to show these tiny points of light. And as your ruin increases and nature itself is sort of trying to push
I'm at
you
4 now.
Excellent. And
That's where I started. Welcome.
Oh. So you looking down at yourself, which you are this shadowy figure sliding through the shadows on the wind. These pinpricks of light are beginning to appear on your body. You realize your skin has become starred, like the night sky above you, like a reflection of the sky. And we'll see if that continues to get worse as your ruin increases. And
This would be fine.
I'm sure it'll be fine. It won't, nothing bad will happen. And as you all follow this shortcut and eventually make your way up and out of the gorge, those little pinpricks of light beginning to peek through Maddox's clothes, you see something in the distance. You're coming closer and closer to the horns, and you can see there's a series of covered wagons out here that have been tipped on their sides. The bonnet's fabric is torn, being sort of whipped a little bit back and forth by the wind. And it looks like possibly a place to find shelter for the night.
Here seems as good as any. Thinking we should bed down for the night.
Patience will encircle the whole camp area around and around and around and around a couple of times.
She's so fast.
Therese will just start setting up this tent and cooking something, because that's what she does.
Where do you set that up? Do you go sort of into the circle of the tent?
Into the circle.
Okay. Yeah, so is everybody going to sort of follow Therese's lead and enter the circle? Patience does a couple of laps first, settling down.
Yeah, I'll kind of just flick out my bedroll and just lay on top of it, boots and holster still on, and just kind of tip my hat down over my eyes.
Okay. And Patience, as everybody else is beginning to settle down and you're sort of making a couple of those laps, getting ready before joining them. Out of the corner of your eye, you think you see a figure, a silhouette, but when you turn to look, it's gone. And then you see it again, closer to the camp. And then a third time, almost as if it is perched, seated on one of these ruined wagons. What do you do?
Patience will kind of fall down to her four legs and growl menacingly as best as she can as she looks up at this thing. Before, I don't mean to make a pun, but barking, "Who are you?"
And the figure reaches up, just this dark silhouette in the night, reaches up and moves its hands as if to snap reins. Doesn't say anything.
Is it up on top of something?
It is seated, sort of slanted sideways on one of these covered wagons that have been tipped on their side. So it looks like it is sitting stock straight, but it is sort of tilted at a strange angle, and it is this sort of indistinct shadow, not unlike Maddox, although probably a little bit less distinct.
Patient's going to take a few steps back and try to leap up into the air to attack this thing.
Okay. So what's your desired outcome here?
To pin this thing to the ground.
Okay. Is this task aided by any of your character skills?
I mean, hunting, maybe.
Hunting, that's quite literally, this is sort of a hunt, greyhound hunt.
Yeah.
So definitely take a light die for that. And does anybody have any devil's bargains for this? Leaping onto the shadowy, indistinct figure that is seated strangely on this covered wagon.
My idea was that either way, the shadow figure would end up in the fire.
In the fire, okay.
Maybe I don't know, just end up in there. Maybe extinguishing it, maybe
getting lit on fire.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
What's worse than a shadow? A shadow on fire.
Fire, yeah, we gotta love a shadow on fire. So regardless of the outcome, the shadow is lit on fire, potentially making it a greater danger or possibly spreading that fire.
Yes.
Anybody else have a devil's bargain to offer?
I like the idea of if this shadow gets destroyed by any means, Patience may also lose her own shadow, but we won't discover that until the next day, like when there's actual sunlight. So it's like a couple hours later, it'll actually take effect. But all of a sudden, like realizing you don't have a shadow anymore. What?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the light of the fire, at the very least, we would soon discover that Patience doesn't have a shadow, right? I really like that. So regardless of the outcome, Patience loses her shadow is a really nice devil's bargain.
I love that so much already.
Luca, do you have one to offer, or we want to let those two?
Not anymore. Yeah.
I know. We're getting some juicy, once people get going, that juice, we're juicing the goose over here for real. Okay, so Proper, you've got two nice devil's bargains on the table. Is either of them calling you?
I do love the shadow one, because that's just a great,
a nice touch for the
vibe. Yeah, exactly. Surprising she hasn't lost it long before this. And I think your next question is an ask. Well, am I willing to risk mind or body? I assume.
Yeah.
I think to play into the character well, I think I will, because she is willing to take one for the team if she has to kill this thing in some way. So I think she is, by the fact that she's trying to do already, putting her life on the line. So that would be ruined to her body.
Okay, excellent. So go ahead and roll 2 light dice and a dark die, and let us know what the highest is.
Okay, my highest light is 4, and my highest dark is also 4.
Okay, so that's all right. If the dark dice has to be higher,
cool.
In order to act as a ruin roll.
Mm-hmm.
So a 4 is a success with a complication. So why don't you describe what your success looks like? And I will add the complication.
So Patience, kind of shockingly, is able to leap really high up into the air and grabs this thing in her teeth. And before the two of them come clattering to the ground, thankfully, Patience lands on top, and we're able to see this thing's face.
Okay, excellent. So as Patience lunges at this thing, actually the two of you crash through the old and waterlogged wood of this wagon. And as you crash through it and land on the ground, you notice two things. First of all, this figure isn't just a shadowy figure, it is just shadow. It is physical, you can touch it and you are grabbing it, but it is a just dark mass of teeming darkness. A dark mass of teeming darkness. Nice, good job, Zeke. You're like a professional GM.
It all sounded great until that last second.
And as the wagon cracks open from this impact that you've done to it, skeletons, skulls clatter out, rolling across the ground to stop behind you. And all of you can see the skeletons of a family of 5 that have fallen out. I need everybody to make a ruin roll, please. So everybody roll a d6, and we will see if it is higher than your current ruin, your ruin will go up.
It most certainly will.
1.
Cool. I'm at 5 ruin right now.
Ooh.
Oh, oof.
Oops.
I got a 4 and I'm at 3 ruin, so it's higher than my ruin.
Okay. So your ruin also goes up?
Mine did as well.
Excellent.
Is it, though? Is it excellent?
I kind of love the idea that the condition you gain from your ruin going up is what we've already decided from the Devil's Bargain, that your shadow dissipating away as you've attacked this creature is deeply effective.
Can I make a slight alteration to that, perhaps?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can this monster, consume my shadow?
Oh, I love it when you give me juice. And Trudy, did your ruin increase or your ruin did? Okay.
Oh yeah, we going up.
Okay, so this figure is pinned to the ground. These skeletons are just rolling out, unfolding, clattering across the ground all around you. The shadows being cast by these skulls and skeletons are dancing across the covered wagons as if these people are here and alive in a macabre display of joy. Anybody else acting here trying to help Patience with this shadowy figure that is now just pinned down to the ground?
I expect I will lift up my hat, poking out from underneath the brim from where I was sleeping, and just stand up and go over, just kind of unclipping the lock of my holster, little strap.
And what are you doing?
Oh, I wasn't sure if I needed to wait for you to I'm just gonna come over and attempt to just take aim and fire at these things, hoping to shatter their skulls. My betting on maybe that will dissipate whatever has a hold on these skeletons.
Awesome. So you're hoping to dissipate these shadows by destroying the skulls. That's great. I love that. Is this task aided by your character's skills?
No, because I did not. No.
Luca's just I picked bad skills.
Apparently I did. I mean, I picked cool stuff. That's the problem. Listen. How about under my becoming myth, I have die with my boots on, which means I become immovable, or I can navigate rough terrain easily. So I feel like I would love if that could help me, if I just walk up here standing like an immovable force, just taking aim coolly and calmly at these shadows animating these skeletons.
Okay, I love that. That would not give you a light dice. That would give you a dark dice because that is a ritual. Is that okay?
That's fine.
That is becoming that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So 2 dark dice then, if I were to roll?
So right now you've got a dark dice.
Just one. Okay.
Let's see if anybody has a nice devil's bargain for this scene.
How are you trying to help? Real quick, one more time.
I am coming up stand in like an immovable force and take an aim with my gun to fire into these skulls, shattering them, hopefully dissipating the shadows, controlling them.
The only one I can think of right now is that because you are immovable, you're not like moving around as you try to do this thing. One of them will get a hand on your leg and try to pull you down.
Okay. So we've got a shadowy figure tries to pull Maddox down or gets a hold of them.
Gets a hold of them, so it's more of a gray area of what will happen after that, I assume. Just for you, Zeke.
I think regardless of the outcome, lightning strikes the fire out of a clear night sky. Corndog or Janie, do you have a devil's bargain to throw on the table?
I was trying to think of one, but I like that lightning theme because it hasn't happened directly to us yet. We've just heard about it happening to others.
I agree.
Okay. So yeah, you've got two devil's bargains. Okay, either one of them appeal to you?
I kind of want the lightning for the cool cinematic moment.
I'll take lightning for 300, please. Okay, so that is a light die and a dark die. Go ahead and roll.
Six on the dark and 3 on the light. Why?
Okay, so that is a success with a complication.
And I move my ruin up for the dark die.
And
rolling so
because
high.
your ruin is higher. Yeah, increase your ruin. So your ruin is at 5?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Okay. So why don't you describe for us what this scene looks like as the lightning strikes and you, with your steadfast, unerring aim, destroy these skulls.
Yeah, I will just come up, stand planting my boots firmly in this dusty ground and just raise my weapon, and almost like I am, at an old-timey carnival, just continue to like pop on the hammer while I just go through the 6 rounds in my gun, just cracking each one on the skull and shattering it.
Each of those skulls just shattering, immediately the shadows disappearing, and lightning cracks down from the open sky with each of those bullets slamming into the fire. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strikes of lightning in the same spot, leaving the fire growing brighter and larger with every strike. And the creatures are gone. Patience, you've just sort of fallen through it to the floor, and looking down at the ground, you can see that your shadow is been swallowed up by this thing and taken away with it.
With the fire so high behind us now and so bright, I think it's going to be extremely, almost jarringly obvious that Patience does not have a shadow, and I will just look down as I kind of fling open the barrel and discard the things and pop in another little thing of shots. Patience, I do believe you lost something.
Patience will follow her line of sight and see that she doesn't have a shadow and just say, well, damn. I'm surprised I've kept it for this long, but seems the devil's got it out for me again.
You all right back there? I'm going to call back to Trudy and Therese.
Trudy is just shaking back and forth and praying a whole bunch. Just all the thoughts and prayers for these two fighting off these shadow demons.
Well, my stew is ruined, so I'm just trying to figure out what to do since I can't make dinner.
I love that there's like this big fire, sort of a ruined pot hanging sideways, and just the remains of stew scattered and sinking into the dry earth, just the ground drinking up Teresa's homemade stew. That's awesome.
And Teresa's like, in her mind, she was going to make the stew, so she can't think past that. She's like, I can't make my stew.
And Judy, as you're sort of taking this moment to pray, to think on what just happened, you realize that one of the skeletons is holding something crumpled up in one of its hands. There is a balled up couple of papers.
Ooh. I'll crawl over like a gremlin and see what those are.
Okay. So as you crawl over like a gremlin, you sort of pull the paper out, unfolding it, and it's weathered, it's crumbly, but you can clearly make out that it's a deed. It's a piece of paper promising an 80-acre patch of land.
Is it a patch of land in Resurrection or near Resurrection, or is it?
It is. You're pretty familiar with the area. It is definitely a patch of land that you can tell by the coordinates and the landmarks noted. It's a patch of land inside the Horns. Somebody was sold land in the mountains, and they died on their way there. This family.
Dibs, taking it for the church.
You gonna build a
Do you
church
share
out there?
at all what you find over there, Trudy?
Zeke, the church will build a church anywhere.
Church, yeah, we need to set up a new stake center here over in the mountain. Just kidding, we're not doing that. But Trudy will let folks know, like, it seems that this is where they were headed, and show the deed as to like where it is within the mountains. But if
there's going to be a strange glint to Maddox's eyes, because that is my drive to acquire a parcel of land for farming or ranching, a place that they can't take from me. But I will mention nothing of that to you.
Good.
Well, they can take it
because you might have had to come across my drive had that been the case, had you tried to take it from me.
What is your drive?
I just want to prove to my now dead father that I'm a rattlesnake.
A rattlesnake in the church. Oh no.
I am the rattlesnake in the church, let's be honest.
That's a mood.
Yes. That's what we're all trying to become.
So at this point, you all begin to settle down for the night without dinner. Sort of that
So
hard
famished.
tack life.
I could pull out some of my last buffalo jerky and pass that around. It's not much, but it's something to keep us sustained. As long as everyone's of the meat-eating type.
Thank you kindly.
I can't say it's much good. The man who makes it for me is gone a little bit astray in his techniques and isn't quite able to produce the same as he once did, but it'll work for now.
I can't taste much anyway. Thank you.
Okay, so we get a nice overhead shot. The group eating some buffalo jerky. Everyone except for Patience sending a long shadow out into the dry, barren land around them. And as you all begin to turn in for the night and thinking, about what you've been through today, what you've seen, I think that is the perfect spot to take a quick little break. So we are about halfway through, we are more than halfway through. So we're going to take a quick break here, refill our coffee, go to the bathroom, anything else people need, and we'll be back soon. Does that sound good? Yeah. Welcome back to Blood and Grit. We are currently playing Devil Aim For Me, which is a Trophy Dark incursion by Michael Van Vleet. You can find Michael and this incursion and a bunch of their other cool games on itch.io, and their Twitter and itch are both Signal Station. As we left things, our band of changing bounty hunters have traveled outside of their hometown of Resurrection and made their way through the dust flats towards the Horns, which are a pair of mountains where they hope to find the bank robber. Wow, when you forget the bank robber's name, where they hope to find the bank robber Henry Bantam, and maybe some of his gang members as well, trying to earn that reward money. And after a long day and then suddenly night of traveling and encountering strange, unearthly things, they have finally settled down for a little bit. And let's start with Maddox. So Maddox, your rune is now 5, is that right? So as we see Maddox lying down, boots on again, down for the evening, how does this condition that has begun to afflict them, their starry skin, how does that grow? How does that become more extreme to reflect the ruin that has nearly reached its peak? Maddox is on the edge of being lost to the Horns.
So I feel like at first it would have just looked like small little pinpricks of light shining through. Very much like those nice little curtains that you can set up that have little star patterns in them. Let it just kind of filter through. However, now the skin is like darkening to an almost gray blue, kind of dusty after sunset look, where there's still that warmth to the sky, but that it's definitely settling into night. And it's less stars shining through and more like the skin almost looks as if it's cracking, like an eggshell, with little hairline fractures along the surface with light seeping through.
Oh, hell yeah. So we see pallid light shining out from these hairline fractures in Maddox's changing body. And Maddox, as you have this moment before falling off to sleep, ruminating on why you're out here, why do you think you can catch Henry Bantam where others have failed? And what do you hope the bounty will help you achieve?
I think my steadfast nature is what will help me succeed where he cannot. I also have roamed these lands, and while I have heard that he can shoot a ghost scorpion in the desert under the pale moonlight miles off, I can also see those creatures skittering about in the night. They glow under my eyes. And I hope to finally get enough to settle down, find a good piece of land to die on proper.
Excellent. And with those thoughts, Maddox finally begins to drift off to maybe catch some slumber before awakening, continuing on the hunt for Henry Bantam. And Patience, as you lie down and prepare for the evening, could you tell me what your ruin is?
My ruin? What do you mean?
Your current ruin score?
My ruin is currently at 3, and as of last we spoke, Patience's shadow has been consumed by a devious monster. I would say that Patience, as she tries to sit down and eat with the others, and eventually as she tries to fall asleep, she is gripped by a cold that she has never known before. She can't get comfortable. She has pain, and she is shivering. Something about having that part of you that you never knew was a part of you removed just leaves like ice in her veins, kind of thing.
Excellent. And why has she gone through all this? She's risked having her shadow ripped away. She's cold and shivering, but what still pushes her forward to try to capture the bank robber, Henry Bantam?
I would say that Patience is always, I don't want to say running, but she's always moving. She always seems like she is trying to get away from something that she doesn't want to admit, doesn't talk about much, but she always she has a history that she is trying to get away from. She is trying to find a new town where no one knows who she is or what she's done, and start over. But she's never really sure if she can.
Okay. And Therese, as you look up at the sky, the scattered remains of that stew you were hoping to make drunk up by the earth here, you can see those vultures wheeling above you. And could you tell me what your ruin is?
4.
4. So your ruin has increased here, is that right? During this last scene? So why don't you tell me, how does this vulture swarm intensify? What about it has begun to not only change the swarm, but also Therese herself?
There's more vultures. There's a huge amount of them now, and they're just circling over her. And she, I think every once in a while, one will kind of seem to get closer and then go away.
So they're coming down towards you.
Yeah.
Could I offer you something and see what you think, maybe?
Yeah.
So what do you think if, as these vultures are sort of coming down towards you, Therese begins to smell of something already dead?
Yes, definitely. That's what I was thinking. Yes.
Okay.
And it's really concerning to her because she doesn't feel like she's dead yet, and she still has to save her sister.
So yeah, tell me more about your sister. What is it that you're going to continue to pursue Henry Bantam despite all these terrible odds, despite this horrific, ominous smell of your own death encircling you? Why are you doing all this?
Well, my sister just disappeared one day, and I got word that she was in a jail in not a faraway town, in another town. And I got an offer that if I could catch Henry Bantam, then I could get her out of jail. But I had to hand over my share of the bounty too. And I really want my sister to be safe, because I have this nice homestead where my family lives, and I kind of really insisting on everybody being there safely, even if that's not what's happening.
Excellent. And Trudy, what is your ruin at?
5.
5. Okay.
And
so as you are settling down to bed and preparing in your own way to try to get some rest, looking down at yourself, taking note of your clothes, your equipment, how have you become more snake-like as your ruin has increased, as this land has begun to affect you?
I would like to say that a lot of it so far has been internal. She kind of waits for an opportunity to strike, and it's definitely been part of her mindset, but now she's starting to develop physical features. So developing short little fangs within her mouth. Her teeth are actually becoming thinner and more narrow, and it's something that she's not consciously aware of, but if she saw it, she wouldn't be startled by it. She'd be like, that's how I've always looked, and just kind of continue on with her day. So right now it's definitely, when you're at your college campus and there's that preacher there who's just screaming everything at you, and you're like, I hate this person. They go for things that are they go for bite impacts in my brain, where they're I'm gonna say something really insensitive, I'm gonna try to bite down on this just to stir a reaction. That's slowly becoming the way she would also intend to preach. It's now she's I don't need to go for bringing people in, I need to go for taking people down. So that's how her mindset's going.
The patient but quick strike. Yeah. Okay, awesome. And why is Trudy doing all this? Why is she going out to the horns, delving deep into the abandoned mines to find Bantam.
Oh, to make an example of him. She intends to bring that body back and be like, if you're going to make deals with the devil, you're going to have to answer to me. So it's definitely, she wants to make herself a more prominent feature in their town of like, fuck around and find out.
Excellent.
Kind of energy coming off of her.
Okay. So both Trudy and Maddox both have a ruin of 5, which means that they can now roll a reduction roll. So if you see an opportunity to betray your companions, set them back, or otherwise assist, let's see, here, I'll just roll this section. Here we go. You may now, when your ruin reaches 5, you may now reduce it when your character attempts subtle acts of sabotage against their companions. Each time your character does this, roll 1 light die. If you get less than your current ruin, your character succeeds at their task, and you decrease your ruin by 1, thereby sabotaging another character and assisting the land in corrupting and changing you. You can continue reducing your ruin this way, even when your ruin drops below 5. And remember that if your ruin reaches 6, your character is transformed and changed. So keep that in mind as we move forward here. So,
bring it on.
So, yeah, you all are able to catch a little bit of sleep, and you awaken to the blood red sun rising on the wrong horizon. It almost looks like it is dripping like a cracked egg in a blackened pan, just steadily rising, this blood red pool, sending orange and pink up through this cloudless sky. And as the sun rises, you see that some people are sitting on the outskirts of your camp. You can see 2 women. There is a woman who is sort of crouched down about 50 paces away, sort of keeping a respectable distance, but crouched down and looking at you. You can see she's wearing a hat ringed with snake rattles. Her hair is sort of limp, plastered to her face, wet with sweat, and her leg is bleeding from an obvious gunshot wound. And behind her is a large, very athletic-looking woman who's wearing a buffalo cape and a woven straw hat that disguises their face. Her sort of face pulled down to keep the brim of the hat disguising her features. And as all of you wake up, you can see these 2 figures, and the woman who's sort of clearly looking out at you with the rattles on her hat sort of tips it slightly, and she says, "Good morning, y'all."
Morning. What can we do you for?
I'm here, Snakebite, and this is Amy, and we're just wondering what y'all are doing out here. Sleeping overnight out here sure ain't safe, is it?
Maddox glances down at their skin and arms and just taking in the starlight.
Snakebite sort of looks at you and furrows her brow slightly, looking around, and then focuses on Trudy and says, "Preacher's daughter enjoying the starlight out by the horns?"
I certainly am. And she'll just flash a wide, toothy grin.
Well, y'all heading up to them gold mines?
I'm actually about to cook up some quick breakfast.
How would you feel about some company for that? Me and Amy sure could use a bite if you have one to spare.
Let me see how much we brought with us. She's going to look over. Amy, you look a little shot.
And it's Snakebite who looks shot, but she looks up at you and she says, "Disagreement with a former employer. Hoping to make it back into town before, hopefully Amy won't have to carry me."
If you're fixing to set down, and share some of our meals, some of our fire, I would hope that you abide by the hospitality rules of such sharing our meal and our fire.
Snakebite reaches at her belt and pulls out a wicked blood-encrusted hunting knife and sets it down in the dirt. Amy never needed weapons. She's big enough as it is.
Well, if we all are gonna abide by the rules, then please take a seat.
And the two of them, Amy sort of clearly looks down at Snakebite, who looks up. The two share a quick nod, and then they begin to amble over and sit at your campsite. You can see the blood sort of dripping out of Snakebite's wound onto the ground, but she takes off her hat and begins to sort of like fan herself with it as you all sort of pack yourselves up.
I don't believe I have anything than stiff cotton to pack in that wound of yours.
Well, I'm hoping to make it back to town, but stiff cotton sure would help if you're offering.
All right, and I'll just grab some wadded up, like I would say it's gauze-like, but I mean out here in these conditions, it's no longer sterile or probably even white. It's cloth to pack a wound, and that's it. And I will hand that to her.
Patience will rip a strip off the bottom of her dress and use that to tie up the wound for her.
Okay, so the two of you go over. Snakebite sort of holds out, or doesn't hold out her leg. God, she sort of lays her leg out on the ground flat so that you can work. And as you bind it up, she winces a little bit, but she gives both of you a nod. She says, "It's been a long time since a stranger offered me kindness."
Do they have any right to shun you?
And Amy reaches out and puts a hand on Snakebite's shoulder, and Snakebite looks sort of back at her slightly and then looks up at you and says, "You out here for Bantam? We used to be part of his gang."
Then what makes you think? What makes us think you can? Jesus Christ! What reason do we have for trusting you?
Rule of hospitality. And looks to Maddox.
Was he the employer you had your little argument with?
Bit of a disagreement. He, ever since visiting the crossroads, he been different. Acted like he couldn't miss a shot if he tried, getting all of us in much more trouble in over our heads, hiding in the gold mines. There's something down there. Something's changing him. He's gone wrong.
I heard he calls his gun Banshee because it calls out before your life is claimed. Is that true?
Listen for yourself. And she reaches down and pinches, like squeezes around the bullet wound. And all of you hear a very faint and high-pitched sigh followed by a grating screech.
Well, that didn't sound right. And she's made like cakes with like corn and like cornbread basically, and bacon, and like she's getting ready to put the plate in front of I don't know, somebody random, and it drops.
And drops it?
Yeah.
Okay. So it sort of clatters down. Was this on purpose? Just
No.
This is me asking out of curiosity.
It was accidental.
Accidental.
This happened.
Amy immediately sort of gets up at the clatter, like almost as if she's startled, and she looks at you for a long moment. And as the tip of her hat slides up, you can see one of her eyes has gone slitted like a lizard, like you've heard Bantam's eyes are.
A mite jumpy, don't worry. We just went a little extra on the bacon grease this morning. Hands are a little slippery, I'm sure. You all right there, Miss Amy? It seems there is something going on with your eye?
And Amy sort of pushes on her broad straw hat and pushes it back down over her face and just sort of grunts out an indistinct sound as she sits back down behind Snakebite, clearly trying to like protect her back with her own body.
You'll get no judgment from me, Miss Amy. I also have eyes that have been out in this desert might too long, and I will let them bleed just a little bit just to show.
Now tell me, did anyone else from your group of folks make a deal with the devil?
We're walking alongside one now, or they are. They don't need to make any more than he's done. Whole lot's going sour.
How many would you say are still remaining with him?
I'd say a dozen or so. Scattered throughout the mines, though, and she sort of flicks her eyes back to Amy. Some of them changing. Ain't quite right anymore.
Right.
That's why you don't make deals with the devil.
And and Snakebite looks over at you and then flicks her eyes up at the vultures that occasionally swooping down towards you, and says, "Yeah, you wouldn't know nothing about that."
Oh, then they're probably mad because I keep trying to shoot them. It's okay. Not a big deal.
And at this point, has the food been sort of like collected and redisseminated, sort of brushed off, or are we all just sort of staring at a pile of cornbread on the ground?
So she's passing it out.
Okay.
And she said it's not a big deal, but she is worried about the vultures, but she's like lying.
Okay.
Patience has a very strong sense of smell, and and so as she takes one of the cakes, she's gonna sit a little further away. She's not sure if it's because of the skeletons, because of the monster, because of the two of them, but something is foul, and so she takes a few steps in the opposite direction.
Awesome. So we see sort of the reshuffling of the group as the smell begins to spread outwards, and I keep wanting to say virtue. Patience sort of takes a little bit back, and Snakebite and Amy eat, and then they begin to gather their things as if to leave.
Heading out so soon?
Snakebite presses her hand on the already bloodied gauze and says, "I don't think I have time to spare."
Well, before you go, we gave you hospitality and some wound dressing. Is there anything you can give to us to aid us in our, in our hunt?
And Snakebite says, "Well, that'd be right fair," and turns to look at Amy and sort of cocks her head. And Amy reaches behind her and rustles around in a small satchel and pulls out a small leather pouch that is sort of tied up. You can see it not just has been tied, but the satchel itself has been bound. Clearly, whatever is inside, they wanted to either keep it from getting out or really make sure it stays in, not accidentally come out. And Amy drops it on the ground next to the campfire and grunts. And Snakebite says, "Be careful, but that there hailstone, Henry's gotten mine in it, out in them hills. There ain't gold down there. The devil told him something else." And they collect their things, sort of nod in thanks to Therese as they begin to meander back towards the gorge and back towards Resurrection.
As a woman with a history with the devil, does Patience get any good ideas on what this awful thing is?
Yeah, there are rumors and legends about stones that have been thrust up through the earth directly from hell itself. Some people, especially occultists, find them to be valuable, a valuable substance. Others try to use it to channel some of that, some of the elements of the supernatural and magic. Others think that they summon devils and demons and that they can cause only harm. But you do know that it can be valuable and that it is certainly a resource. I would imagine you probably view it as such. Yeah.
Would Therese recognize it too, since her background is a spirit medium?
Oh yeah, a spirit medium would 100% have heard about Hellstone as well.
She's just gonna like stare at it and kind of reach for it.
Yeah. Yeah, so you grab it, you can feel the chunky stone underneath. And as you touch it, you feel this sort of almost nauseating moment where the world sort of spins and you hear a very indistinct whisper that just says, "What do you want?"
To find Bantam.
And do you say that out loud or do you think it?
I say it out loud.
Okay. So yeah, you all just saw as Therese picked this up and said to find Bantam, and then suddenly across her clavicle, this wound begins to appear, almost as if someone is cutting her with a scalpel, just down, arcing across, and blood begins to well up as a B is etched into the shoulder of Therese. And you suddenly feel connected to this stone inside this bag. You know it will help you accomplish what you want.
Be careful there, Therese. There's always a cost.
Yeah, what is Therese wearing? Are we able to see this happening, or is it just like blood blooming out on your clothing?
You're probably able to see it because she's wearing like a just like the basic homesteading dress that's like got a scoop neck and just basic for doing work.
Maddox will just kind of stand in one smooth motion. I would be careful what you say to that stone or around it.
Why?
It seems to be taking things from you. And you may not know what you are actually giving.
She's going to look down and see the wound, and then just grab a rag and just stick it on it. Like, she should be upset by it, but she's just covering it up now.
Okay, is there anything else you all want to do before setting out for these mines where you hope to find Henry Bantam?
Maddox is just gonna roll up their sleep and roll and stand, and then kind of dust off their poncho and the ground. I believe it is time we head out.
Who puts out the fire?
Not Maddox.
Patience probably will.
Okay. So Patience, you're sort of putting out the fire and you notice something glinting in the embers that weren't there when Therese started it. And as you sort of clear away some of the ash, you see a star, a silver star that reads Sheriff.
Patience will carefully continue to put out the fire, but grab a large hunting knife from her back pocket, as if she has a pocket in a dress, from her pack, and kind of root around in the coals, and carefully hook the back of the pin part of the badge, and just kind of brandish it to the rest of the party. Well, something tells me that we will not be having any assistance in these days, so keep your wits about you.
Patience, as you touch the Sheriff's star, you have a flash of insight. How would Patience be able to change her life or resurrection if she were the sheriff? What would she want to do with that sort of power if it was given to her, whether or not she wanted it?
I think Patience is the kind of person who power would very quickly go to her head, and it's part of the reason she is running from her past life. And so she has a vision of just like a almost tyrannical, bloody sheriff who has, well, not to be punny, she has no patience, and she is quick to draw a gun on anyone who tries to hurt anything in her town.
Okay, excellent. So with that little vision in mind, anybody else have anything they want to do before following that map, heading back into the mountains, or heading into the mountains?
Just
I'm
spend
just
a little
climbing
more
up
time.
on my horse. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Just spending a little bit more time reading the Bible we found, and not necessarily reading the Bible because I know what the Bible says, but reading the new side notes that are there, as well as about the demons and stuff like that, and like just trying to better understand if this was like a mad person's Bible that dealt with the devil potentially. Get a little insight there.
Yeah, so as you flip through and begin to read these notes, you are shocked to discover in Genesis, it seems like somebody's written out a genealogical record. And at first, it really doesn't make any sense. It rambles along the sides of pages, sprawling throughout the entire chapter. And at the base of that, you see your family's name at the bottom, a direct descendant of Adam and Eve. How does that make you feel?
I think it gives her like an even greater sense of purpose. Like, I'm of the mindset of like, I'm the chosen one, essentially, in a lot of ways. Like, if there's someone who's going to deal with it, it would be our family.
So there's no doubt in her mind when she sees this, even though she has begun to show not, celestial characteristics, but serpentine ones.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Love it.
She's just getting more and more confident in like this was what she was supposed to do today or yesterday.
Okay, excellent. And so at this stage, you all are able to saddle back up, having had your sort of morning breakfast, a little conversation, and you are able to follow the trails that you've been guided on by this map. And you pass under a sort of broken hanging archway that clearly was painted and reads Golden Door. And you find yourself in an abandoned mine camp in the shadow of the horns. You can see buzzards are crowding the tops of trees, and smoke is emerging from several of the tunnels that plunge into the ground all around you. And there are blackened bodies all around here amidst the smoking ruin of this mining camp. And as the horses begin to pass into this camp among burned tents, bits of fabric are fluttering weakly, and a lung-stinging haze hovers over the group. Maddox, who do you think gave the order to torch the camp, and why do you think it was put to the flame?
I think it was put to the flame by the single surviving member of this camp. Someone tried to spirit away something they should not have from deep below. And it came out in the night and began to claim all of them, their bodies and minds twisting and warping in the shadows. And one was able to set fire and escape.
And Trudy, how do you know that the miners are watching? how can you feel them in the dark tunnels?
I'd like to think that she can feel the echoes of their prayers, or like the last minute screeches that you have before death of just like, please God, like, you know, when people talk about like war and stuff like that, they talk about like the last minute flashes of like near death experiences, or anyone who like goes through that, and they discuss like what their final thoughts were. Like those final moments, those final prayers are like just distant whispers and echoes that Trudy is picking up on. Like the final, like, if I can live, like, this is what I hope to be able to do with that. Like, please let me get out of here so I can go see my wife. Please let me get out of here so I can go punch my uncle in the face one last time. Like, whether it's they want to live for spite, they want to live for love, she's like hearing their final thoughts of like, please, just let me continue.
Okay, awesome. So as the two most ruined members of the group are beginning to get this sort of supernatural insight into what happened here, Therese and Patience, how are you trying to figure out where Henry Bantam and his gang have gone? Which of these many tunnels have they gone down? How are you trying to discern that?
Can I ask my stone?
You want to ask the stone?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so you want, so I think we are going to make this a risk roll. So you want the stone to tell you or guide you to Henry Bantam, that's right?
Yes.
Okay. So is this task aided by any of your skills?
I don't really know. Maybe.
It's okay if they don't. You can get dice other ways. But just
Yeah, I don't think any of her skills as, you know, being a homesteader.
fair. It doesn't give her much experience with with evil spirit rocks.
I
That's
thought
fair.
you were an occult specialist.
Oh,
Yeah, that's true. I was just thinking of that. Maybe she has like
Oh, that's not one of your occupations, right?
it's a background spirit.
Oh, okay.
medium.
Yeah.
well, if it is, then that would definitely track. Let's see. Let me look at that really quick. Yeah, it says spirit medium skilled in occult communication. Oh my God, you're communicating with an occult rock. I love this for you. Yeah. So you get a light die for that. Does anybody have any devil's bargains for Therese? Trying to commune with this hellstone, regardless of whether
Yeah,
it succeeds or fails.
Regardless of outcome, I think if it regardless of outcome, just by opening herself up to listen and communicate with this hellstone, she is going to wake in the night frequently from here on out with screaming whispers in her mind, and wake with a sweat.
So becoming connected to those who died here.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say that if she communes with this, regardless of outcome, the stone will have some kind of control on her. It asked what she wanted, and now it's going to take over and make change her motives to do something that it wants to sabotage someone else in the group.
Okay, so what specifically would it want her to do, you think? And we can open that up to the whole table too. Just sort of refining this down so that
I just kind of was
Jamie
playing.
knows exactly what she's getting into before she picks anything.
No, that's fine. I would say something along the lines of like the motive to harm someone else in the group.
Okay, to harm somebody else. And I actually just thought of one too. I think regardless of the outcome, Teresa's sister is here and steps out of a camping tent. Steps out of one of these burned husks.
Oh my goodness. I can only pick one.
You can only pick one.
I want to pick that the stone is taking her over.
Okay.
Because she has been trying very, very hard not to put off any vibes of being in a creepy occultish type family, which is why she's like taking on this homesteader persona, and the stone is just like dragging her closer to her real background.
Okay, awesome. So take a light die and another light die for your Devil's Bargain. And are you risking your mind and body to try to find Henry Van Tam this way? Okay, so go ahead and roll 2 light die and a dark die, and we will see what happens here.
Okay. My light die are 5 and 6. And my dark die, once I roll it correctly, is a 1.
Amazing. Okay. So, how you describe the success? How does this stone guide you to Henry Van Tam, and how do you know where he is? It doesn't take you there, but you know where he is now. How does it do that?
The mark on the wound that was on me, it's like a home. It starts flashing the closer I get.
Oh my God. So the wound starts giving off like an unearthly glow as you begin to move closer or farther away from.
Yeah, so I have to take off my messy kind of bandage where I was trying to cover it up so I could see it like glow at, what is it, greenish.
Okay, awesome. And as this begins to happen, you feel the stone grow warm in your hand, and it, before you even realize it, it is pushing you to commit an act of violence against one of the other party members. So what do you do to try to hurt one of your companions?
What are my companions doing right now?
I think
the Bible is what I am doing. The bad Bible. The less than holy Bible, I should say.
Patience is trying to either smell her way or navigate her way by following the water that runs through this area. But not knowing that you are communing with the rock, she is trying her best to do some tracking of her own.
And Maddox?
Maddox is listening quietly and staring at the sky. This sun that is on the wrong side. Trying to just get a sense for where the desert is telling them to go and what dangers are coming.
Yeah, so who do you hurt, Therese?
He is going to smack the Bible out of Trudy's hand and just like growl something like, "You aren't worthy of this book."
I'll just hiss back. Just a casual vibe of a really aggressive hiss. And then I'd like to do something to help reduce my ruin. Because I've been attacked, I am going to rudely poke into the hot and cold button on Patience, or not Patience, Therese. I'm just gonna like poke into it, not like, I personally, as Trudy, do not know that that's like a hot and cold, like beaming location device, but that's what she's going to do. Just be like, I don't know what this is about, but do like the 2-finger jab that you would do to like essentially start a fight. Like, I'm not going to actually shove you, but I'm going to give you that nice 2-finger jab, and she's going to go right for that spot in attempting to, like, whatever this is, disable it.
Excellent. Okay.
Push back. Is that okay?
Huh?
Can she push back at Trudy for doing that? Is that okay?
We're going to resolve the reduction roll first to see how this goes, because if she's successful or not will also affect things. So go ahead and roll 1 light die, and if it is less than your current ruin, which is 5, then your ruin goes down by 1, which would be great, I'm sure.
Excellent. Yeah, 3.
A
so
3.
Here we go.
So your ruin is reduced to 4, and you effectively disable this connection that Therese is fostering with the Hellstone, causing this glow to shudder off. What does that look like? How does it feel? Trudy.
Oh,
Yeah, like
I
what
was
do you?
like,
Yeah.
so it's the hiss with the jab, but it's just like staring Therese like dead in the eye as she does it. It's just like, I'm worthy of what I say I'm worthy of. And then just pulling the fingers back like out of it. And like in doing so, a little bit of like the green blood that we've got going on just like kind of like flicks out essentially.
Okay. Yeah. Therese, you feel that connection suddenly shudder down as the two of you have started a fight here. Essentially, do you react or storm off, or what's going on? How do you feel?
Oh, she like yells like, "No, it's done," and then she'll like push Trudy because she's really mad now. She was counting on that to find this person so she could get, this is messing with her goal, and she's kind of losing it.
I feel like pulled out of their stillness by this commotion, Maddox is just going to come over and stand firmly between them. I will need you to calm yourselves. We are about to embark on something dangerous that'll most likely be our end. If you could just postpone that a bit.
I was going to find him and she turned it off. She thinks she's special and she's not, and she's just going to say something really creepy that she probably shouldn't know, but she's a spirit medium, so she kind of knows some of these things sometimes. Like she's yelling at Trudy. She's really mad at her.
Trudy,
I think Trudy just kind of like smirks a little bit and just like, she's had things yelled at her many a times, especially as the preacher's daughter. Like, people have heckled her a lot. And so for her, like, this is no big deal. And I think she smirks almost in a way to just keep taunting Therese, but isn't going to like physically engage anymore.
And as the two of you have had this altercation and the tension is rising in the group, you notice the smoke is beginning to thicken. And it's no longer sort of going up into the sky. It's almost like it's hit an invisible ceiling and is beginning to cloud down and around you.
Again, I would suggest that we calm ourselves before whatever is happening decides to take form. We have other business to be about.
Well, she stopped me from finding him.
We can find him another way.
I want to talk to the stone again.
And as you turn to try to do that, all of you suddenly hear as a mining cart, empty, creaks up one of the rails and comes to a stop in the camp. The smoke continuing to thicken and push down, making it harder to breathe.
Well, there's our ride. Let's go.
Okay, so you begin to walk towards that minecart, figure out if this is the way.
Yeah, I'm assuming that it is, and I'm just going.
Are you saying that we are to get in this? Because I will not.
Yes.
I do not think that climbing into a wooden cart that has held vast amounts of this hell mineral seems like such a wise idea. I shall be perhaps following you from behind.
This mineral is valuable. I need more of it.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how Gollum are you right now?
Like 6.5.
Yeah.
Well, how many ruins
Okay.
does she have? She's got 4 ruins, so you know what? It's going to be 6.5.
6.5. Okay, so in that moment, as you make this claim saying you need more of this stone, all of you suddenly become aware that the smoke coming out of all of these different abandoned mining tunnels, as it's grown thicker and continue to swirl around you, you realize that the reason for that is that the source of the smoke has been approaching the entrance of the tunnels. And all around you now, you can see dozens of ashen men and women and people holding pickaxes, their bodies and skin blackened and cracked and burning as these dead miners, consumed by the charcoal they have become, have encircled you. What do you do?
I still hop in the cart.
Okay. So, so Therese hops in the cart. What about everyone else?
Are they like actively attacking, or are they just hanging around us?
Some of them have begun to lift their pickaxes in a way that is definitely indicating violent intent.
Oh man, I'm gonna try and just play it the most cool and just be like, "We shall be attaining your vengeance shortly if you could but hold a minute here."
And then as a chorus from them, "You cannot enter, not the tunnels."
Is there another way?
They begin to lift their pickaxes.
Would I jump in here alongside Maddox and just be like, we are the ones who will avenge you. And I want to attempt to use the white hat becoming myth.
Wow, I love this.
To be perceived as the good guy despite everything.
Okay, this is a risk roll. So go ahead and add a dark dice to your pool because you're using a becoming myth. What is your desired outcome here? That they let you down?
I want to say that they let us down, but in a way of like, kind of like they essentially part the sea for us. So instead of just being like they disappear, they just kind of like create that path. Like think Aragorn walking through and all the ghosts are like kind of encroaching on him, and then they part as he walks through with the sword. Like,
okay.
Similar vibes for us to get through this.
Love it. Is this task, are you aided by any of your skills?
I don't know if this is rabble rousing. I feel like this is more like just trying to control a crowd in a different way, not to like get them to get all huffed and uppity, but like attempting to like
I see that.
get them to cooperate with what she's attempting to do.
Okay, I can see that. Go ahead and take a light die for that. And Devil's Bargains. Anybody have one they want to start off with?
I would love to have something pop into my mind right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
This is still your role to convince them to let us pass.
Mm-hmm.
I would say one devil's bargain could be that there is some dissidence in the group, and so some of the quote-unquote spirits are agreeing and some of them aren't, and so whether you succeed or fail with most of them, one of them will attempt to physically block your path.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I mean, you're using the white hat thing here, and you've got a bunch of really distraught spirits, and you're the preacher's daughter. So I think if you're successful with this, these spirits will see you as some sort of salvation and attempt to, leech onto you.
That regardless of the outcome, they will actually follow or try to become part of her?
Yeah, because it says be perceived as like the good guy. So all of these distraught spirits will kind of latch onto you, perhaps taking something from you, or you would have to fight against them to be dragged wherever they are eventually going to end up.
I
I'm
think.
trying to think of, help me out, DM, what the
Oh no,
result would be there.
I think that's great. I think regardless of the outcome, the idea that these spirits become attached in some way to Trudy, trying to like whether or not they believe what Trudy is saying and agree with it, they feel like they want to somehow try to connect with her physically or spiritually or something like that, and we can leave that up to Corndog to maybe decide the exact specifics of that. I think my devil's bargain is relatively simple. As you're speaking and sort of channeling this, trying to like pull this sort of supernatural force, making them believe that despite against all maybe outward appearances, that you are the good guy and you are here to save them. I think from the ground around you, rattlers just begin to emerge all around you in this venomous coil. So yeah, I think that's 3 devil's bargains to choose from.
Well, I had the same idea as Maddox. I just didn't speak fast enough.
I just keep imagining that scene from Hercules, you know, when they're like grabbing onto him, like, you know, as when he falls in the water stuff.
I like the idea of her like awakening the snakes that were always there, but like really pulling them to the forefront to also kind of create like that cacophony of sound.
Okay, so there's this like dissonance between what you're saying and what's happening.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So take a light die for that. And this is a ritual, so you have 2 light die and 1 dark die. Go ahead and roll.
I have a 5 on the dark die for my highest.
Okay, so that is a success with a complication. So your ruin goes back up to 5, right?
Yep.
Okay. And as you make this declaration to this group of specters, why don't you describe the success, and I will add the complication, and you can incorporate the snakes coming out of the ground if you want as well.
So, as like, it's kind of like almost as she begins to preach in the way her father taught her to, the snakes start to pour out in like the opposite way of the legends and lore of St. Patrick, where it was like, let's get rid of all these snakes. They just start to just appear, and there is way too many of them for it to be just circumstantial. Like, there should not be this many snakes in this area. There is not enough food for all of them to survive here. That part's unnatural. But like the unnatural nature of it almost inspires a little bit of fear, as well as like, this is a good person, but a little bit of fear within the spirits of like, oh, she's able to do this. She might be able to actually avenge us because she's able to pull these snakes forth. She could probably do something similar to this as she descends down.
Okay.
To avenge their spirits.
So the spirits begin to sort of part, giving this path towards the cart, which Therese has rushed forward and climbed into already. And as all of you are sort of looking down this path, you can clearly see that something is emerging from the shadow of the cave that this track leads down into. There is a hulking bestial figure, its shoulders reaching the top of the cave, its head almost wolf-like, pools of liquid gold running down through its matted fur for eyes, like it's crying fool's gold. And this bestial thing is crawling up out of the dark, its claws cracking into the earth, and growing from its body, you can see thick clumps of hellstone that have either been pushed in or are emerging out, and it's impossible to tell the difference as this thing comes pushing up out of the dark.
So is it a bad idea to like run up to him?
I would say it's threatening.
Can I aim my gun at him?
I will read you something really quick from the rules of Trophy Dark. So, in trophy, boop, boop, boop. Oh, Lord. Where is it? Okay. So in Trophy Dark, if you use a risk roll to try to defeat a monster in combat, you will die. Instead, roll to hide, roll to escape, or roll to use a Becoming Myth ability against it. If you fight something that is not monstrous, or if blah, blah, blah. If you fight something that is not monstrous, such as a person, or if you fight a monster but not to defeat it, for example, to fight your way past it, be clear about what you want from the fight and then roll normally. So just putting that out there, uh, these treasure hunters are not going to be killing this bestial gold monster, but you do need to find a way to circumvent it. And if you try to roll just to kill it, you will die, which is okay if that's what you want at this stage. We're almost done. If you want this to be like the epic conclusion for your character to die fighting this creature, we can totally roll with that. But just keep that in mind as we move forward. So, with that in mind, is there something you'd like to do, Therese?
She wants to get further in. Like this monster is just in her way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got these nice stones on it that she wants.
Okay.
So I think she's just going to try to, I guess well, I don't know if white hat would work if she could just be like, she belongs there.
So you want to try to white hat your way past it, like telling it that you're using good guy very loosely here. Let's see.
Yes, I am.
Be perceived as the good guy despite everything.
Well,
Wouldn't that be like the opposite of helping?
Yes.
Well, no. She has to go in there because she has a test to do for the.
Just got a math test later on down in this cavern. If you could just let us by.
No, shoo, please.
Monster beast. Therese, if you want, I can use one of my things to try and like help you continue on. Yeah.
I have something I'm going to do. It's also becoming
Patience hasn't had a chance to act in a hot minute. What are you thinking?
So Patience is going to do is she is going to quickly spring up on two legs and grab her shotgun and very carefully aim not to kill the beast, but to attempt to break it up in some way so that it falls to the ground. And so she'll like aim for like its hip and hoping that, or some variation of its hip, so that it'll like come crashing down to the ground. And we can hopefully escape while it is like recuperating. I have the Becoming Myth lead touch, immobilize something or someone with a bullet.
Okay,
And either of my occupation or background might help, either hunting, long shots, or coordination.
Oh yeah, I think both of those definitely help. So you're so go ahead and take a light die for that. Do people have devil's bargains for what happens when you try to shoot a gold beast monster from the mine?
I would love it if the regardless of what happens, the bullet strikes, and the gold that is like kind of entwined with it, the molten gold, will kind of splash out, almost infecting in a lace type weave all over Patience's skin, with potentially dire effects.
Okay, so the gold infecting Patience, possibly also making her bestial in some way. I love that. I would, let's see. I'm trying to also think of something.
Come on, give me your worst.
Regardless of the outcome, some of the rattlers that have been pulled up by Trudy have gotten close enough to bite Patience.
I mean,
Then
unless someone else has a really good one, I do thoroughly enjoy the gold infecting her in some way.
yes, let's do it then. Okay, so go ahead and take a light dice for gold infection. And are you... Oh, wait, this is a ritual, right?
This is a ritual, so I take one light and one dark, or just one dark?
So you take one dark on top of... Yeah, so you've got 2 light and a dark dice. You can go ahead and roll those.
Damn, I have 2 6s on my light die and 1 3 on my ruined or my dark die.
Okay, so this is a complete success. Why don't you describe what it looks like as Patience is able to immobilize this monster for long enough for all of you to push past it, and also incorporating how the gold gets onto you and infects Patience.
I would say that if this were a movie, you would see kind of Patience breathe. You'd hear Patience breathing all around us, and you would see time kind of slow down for Patience as she very calmly pulls out her gun, cocks it, and takes aim. And we see the bullet as it spirals through the air, smacking straight into the middle section of this monster. It makes cracks that run all the way across its body, and it takes a second before it completely splinters and falls apart. The monster itself slides in almost like a landslide almost, as it somehow melts and demorphs into the cave itself. And as it does, rocks from this cave ceiling fall onto it, and the moltenous, devilish mix of gold and the hellstone or whatever it's called splatters out and burns Patience's face. And so there is a stripe of gold that goes across her left eye and burns into her and cools almost instantaneously on her shadowless, icy skin. And so she growls in a kind of dog-like bark, and quickly yells at everyone to escape while they can. And so while she reholsters her gun on her back, the party will kind of sprint around the falling rocks further into the cave.
Okay, epic. So this epic showdown with this creature, sort of knocking it aside, breaking it apart, and giving the party an opportunity to push on. However, Therese does not push on. Therese, what is Therese doing as we leave her behind?
Well, she gets swallowed into the earth.
Okay.
She needs to say something, and things just open up, and she's just sucked right down.
So the ground opens up, and we just see Therese disappear down into the dark. The edges of that opening cavern bearing shards of hellstone pushing out like teeth as the ground closes again behind her.
Yes, and Therese is gone. R.I.P. Therese.
And Therese is gone. And as the rest of you are able to push past the remains of this creature and the falling rocks, as Patience has pushed you all forward and created this moment for you to get past, you push down deeper into the tunnel, and you all hear someone shout, "You the law?" echoing up from deeper within.
No law here.
So you say no law here, and
Oh.
I think we're getting a little echoing.
Hold on a second.
Okay. So you said no law here. And then you hear this terrible, jagged laugh echoing up the cave. Well, you sure are terrible at sneaking up on folks. If you think I'm alone, think again. I got bullets for all y'all.
Weren't trying to sneak. Walking in the front door.
Well, if you think you're going to part Henry Bantam from his fortune, well, you got another thing coming.
You worry about people's thinking a lot.
When you're sitting on this much money, you got to think about what other people think, for sure.
That Henry I'm speaking to in this moment.
This is Henry. And like I said, I got a gun and company waiting.
I mean, it seems we are well matched then. Why don't you step out and talk to me face to face?
You hear shuffling and the clattering of rocks below, and silence echoes up out of the darkness.
That is what I thought. Shall we continue on? I'm going to just say to my companions.
I'm ready.
Just a nice solemn nod of like trying to hype myself up as we continue to walk in.
I believe the only path here is forward.
Okay, and as you all begin to push your way down, the terrible smell of rot and death begins to roll upwards, and you can see horribly impaled on stalagmites and stalactites all around are the sneering and now withering faces of Henry Bantam's gang. And as you go down and this smell overwhelms you, the horrible sight of their disfigured bodies ripped apart and pierced on stone for all to see as a warning, I need everyone to make a ruin roll for me, please.
Oh, jeez.
Do we just do the one die for ruin roll?
Yes, so a ruin roll is rolling one dark dice, and if it is higher than your current ruin, your ruin increases by 1.
If it's the same, though, it just stays.
If it's the same, it stays. It's got to be higher.
Okay, I'm good.
I am not good. I just increased my ruin to 4.
Okay, so how does your shadowless condition worsen as you are stepping past the horrible sight of Bantam's massacre?
So can I reintroduce that shadow creature from before?
Oh yeah.
So we're still not totally sure what that creature was, as far as I know, but it will slink back into this room with that before I notice, and as it does, it'll like have gotten a taste for me and come back for more. And so as I look upon all of these things, I think it is just me getting scared or feeling awful about seeing all these dead people, but really it is additionally this thing consuming parts of my soul as I walk through the room.
Very casually. Okay, awesome. And as you all continue on beyond this site of horror, you come to a dead end. And leaning against the wall near a guttered lantern, you see Henry Bantam, lizard eyes, scar across his lips, his gun Banshee held up, pointed at all of you. And his shirt is slick with blood, sticking his shirt to his skin, dripping to the floor, leaving a trail. The room smells like gun smoke and death. And Bantam is shivering, but his gun hand is steady, supported by a dark shadow behind him that is whispering in his ears. What do you do?
I'm just gonna quickly turn to Patience. I believe we have found your shadow.
I believe it's been here all along. That monstrosity is something that has been haunting me for years.
I'm gonna walk in just slow, like raising my hands. Good evening, gentlemen.
Nothing about this evening is good. And then a slightly more lilting voice, and I'm certainly no gentleman, the shadow behind Bantam says.
My apologies. May we talk? Maybe sit a spell? Or are you looking only for violence?
Pulls back the hammer on the gun. I don't miss.
I am sure you don't. Held up by that lovely shadow behind you.
Uh,
Perhaps we talk. Might before this gets bloody.
and what do you have to say?
It's looking like you have reached the end of your horribly sad story here, and I was wondering if you might just let us take you in to meet your fate.
And Bantam opens his mouth, but the shadowy figure covers it. And you all hear that voice again. Hmm. And what is it you could do for me if I let you take him?
I mean, other than confirm my suspicions about the nature of your relationship with Bantam, I don't know that I have much to offer you. Is there something you're wanting?
Well, there's a lot in you that I could. Well, there's a lot in you that I could feast on for sure, but I'm gonna need somebody else to wear Bantam's crown.
Oh, here's the sticky part of accepting that deal. Is that my plan here is to take him in for the reward money so that I can get me a nice piece of land to die on that is my own. But I cannot do that if you are holding me down in some dark, dank cavern.
At the height of his career, Bantam wandered long and far. He robbed banks, pulled jobs, derailed trains. You wouldn't be confined to this cavern.
How long we talking then?
As long as it takes for you to die.
I'm just gonna again confirm, looking around to all the crew of his, that I do still have my hands up. You mind if I sit? These types of negotiations make one weary. Maybe like to rest my bones a bit.
The shadowy figure jerks Bantam's wrist so that the gun points to the ground and then back up at you.
You want me to sit on the ground?
There's nowhere else to sit.
You can't, maybe make a rock shoot up with your special little, hellstone powers. And this is very much me trying to test what they're capable of.
There is a gentle and lilting laugh, and then the ground shakes as three glistening, shining, and moist crystals emerge from the ground for you to sit upon.
You gonna let him talk for himself at any point? I'd like to see how it ends up if I accept your deal.
And the fingers uncurl from Bantam's mouth. And Bantam says, if I have my way, y'all are die down here. If you die in this mine, would anybody know?
So you're just an asshole. That'll be fine then. You ready to be done? You want to rest a spell?
And he points the gun at you and pulls the trigger. What do you do?
Shit. Hope to God. I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna say I accept.
Okay. This is a risk roll. So
Okay.
your desired outcome is to accept this being's bargain before you're hit with the bullet.
Yep.
And is your task aided by any skills?
Fuck. Shit. Petty criminal. Skilled in opportunism. I see an opportunity.
I certainly agree. So go ahead and take a light dice for that. And does anybody have any devil's bargains? Regardless of the outcome here, something that could happen.
Other than the obvious.
Yeah. I think that regardless of the outcome, your starry, cracked skin splinters apart, revealing what has been growing inside you all along.
Oh, no, we don't want to know.
I can't beat that.
I thought I had a cool idea, but nope, we're putting that back. Put it back in the box.
Yo, this is the climax. We're going there.
I will accept this deal.
Okay. And it does seem like you're risking your mind and body to me.
Okay, so I got one dark, one light.
You've got a one dark, two light, because you're a petty criminal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I got the light are a 2 and a 5, and then the dark is a 3.
Okay. So this is a success with a complication. So why don't you describe what your success looks like and what is inside as your skin cracks and splinters away. And I'll add the complication.
Okay. I, in this like kind of still moment, everything sort of freezes as I say the words I accept to this shadow creature. And it will move off of the wall through Bantam, his body going limp as it passes through him. And it will kind of like come up from the floor and spread onto me and almost settle there. And my whole appearance will take on the look as if I am standing under shadow. However, at this same second, my skin cracks and this horrible, cold, shining light breaks through. And the bullet just kind of turns to dust and blows away. And this shadow and this cold, horrifying light that kind of steals your breath away just looking at it seem to be struggling over my form.
Okay. And just as that bullet sort of makes that impact, you described it as dissolving, but I think it actually splits in half. And each half of the bullet goes soaring towards Patience and Trudy. And both of you are immediately under threat as you see these bullet fragments heading directly for you. The changes happening to Maddox and how they are certainly no longer going to be your friend and companion. Which one of you acts first? What do you do?
I'm trying to think if there's something I have that I can protect myself with.
I've got an idea if you want to spend some time thinking.
Go for it. Please do.
So Trudy clutches her Bible in close to her chest and just shuts her eyes and begins to pray. And starts praying on the thought that there can only be shadows if there's light. So trying to, like, in her mind's eye, connect with the ghosts that she spoke with outside in a way to get them to collapse the tunnel. Like, collapse the whole mine. So if they have a way to become physical and real, to just... like, somehow there's light down here. That's where Trudy believes all this shadow is coming from. and now there's this light beacon of a person, and like we need to eliminate all of this. If these demons are demons of shadow, all light that's in this mine needs to be taken out. So she is clutching that Bible close, hopefully using it as a bulletproof vest, and just thinking real hard on making sure there's no more light. Like, shadows can only exist when there's light. So succumbing to the darkness is what she is doing in this like potential final moment for herself.
And we'll get to that with a roll in a moment for sure. But first I want an image of what Patience is trying to do. Trudy is resorting to just trying to destroy this, collapse the tunnel. What is Patience doing? Trying to survive, trying to escape, trying to attack Maddox or this shadow? What's she doing?
I would say that Patience is she doesn't really have a skill for this other than maybe coordination, but she's going to try to duck out of the way of getting hit and as quickly as possible pull out her shotgun to get in on this fight. Because either she tries to kill this thing and she dies, or she like somehow dies in another way. There's all the options are death at the moment. So she's going to put in all her effort to try to shoot this thing and bring it down.
Okay. So I think we'll do Trudy's roll first to see if this cave's coming down. Because if the cave is coming down, then we'll get a nice sort of last stand from Patience. Do you think this task is aided by your character's skills, Corndog?
Yeah, I'm rabble-rousing these ghosts. I'm calling upon them to collapse this cave. Rabble-rousing again. We are getting a little crazy.
Does anybody have a devil's bargain for Trudy?
This is going to sound cruel, but my devil's bargain is if she does get the cave to collapse, that she'll somehow survive the initial collapse, but like die very slowly.
Okay, so to rephrase that as something that would happen either way, regardless of the outcome, Trudy dies.
Trudy will die. Trudy dies slowly.
Okay. My devil's bargain will be, regardless of the outcome, Trudy sheds her skin.
That's disgusting. I love it.
Yeah, no. Yep.
Sorry, Proper, but that was real gross, so I have to do it.
Okay.
Please do.
Oh, and I can live with all my snakes in the mountain.
And I mean, it seems to me like you're risking your mind and your body.
Oh, hell yeah. I will throw caution to the wind. This is the end.
So go ahead and roll 2 light die and a dark die.
5 on the dark die, 3 on the light die. So.
Okay, so this is a success with a complication. So what does it look like as Trudy, prays to these miners to collapse this tunnel and also sheds her skin? And I will add a complication.
And doesn't my rune also go up?
Your rune was 5, right?
Yeah, so it becomes 6.
Well, you have to roll higher than your.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Okay. Cool. We're fine then.
Mm-hmm.
Are we though? Are we?
As she kind of calls upon the ghosts, I really love Lord of the Rings. The same way the ghosts were like reluctant to help Aragorn, these ghosts are also reluctant in that regard, and they're almost angry that they're being asked to do this because they're the ones that had to suffer the first time. They shouldn't have to put in this much effort again. So they do it, but not without like kind of causing Trudy to go a little bit crazy, as she like kind of like recoils from them. That's when she starts to like shed her skin. It's like she's actually recoiling from these ghosts and like all of their different like comments and feelings as they're like flowing through, and that actually causes her to like coil down into a snake like being
And so this shard of the bullet impacts Trudy's skin, but Trudy has shed that skin. It is suspended in the air on the moment as we see these bullet shards impact it and just breaking through it like nothing but an empty skin as Trudy slithers out and onto the ground. And as these miners begin to collapse this tunnel and these rocks are falling and all of this is happening, Patience has pulled up her shotgun in one final stand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what does that look like? What are you trying to accomplish?
I need to get a lay of the land because I think I missed something. Where is the shadow monster right now?
So the shadow has sort of overlaid Maddox.
Gotcha.
Who has become this sort of being, this sort of pillar of pallid, unsightly light. And that shadow is just sort of layered over top of them. Is that right, Luca?
Love it.
Yes.
So Patience's only recourse in this particular moment is she's going to attempt to kill Maddox because she doubts that she can kill the shadow monster itself, and so like she's willing to give up her life to like give Maddox a like a final rest kind of thing. So I'm sorry, Maddox, I'm going to attempt to kill you.
Okay, go ahead. So it sounds like your desired outcome is killing Maddox.
Yep. Yep, that would be correct.
I assume this task is aided in the way your previous sort of weapons expertise ones are, so you can take a light die for that.
Okay.
And do people have devil's bargains here?
So I would say that and it's regardless of success, right?
Yeah.
Because I kind of want it dependent on success. Does that
Well, what
work?
are you thinking? Maybe we can workshop it a little bit.
Yeah. I would say that if you manage to kill me, whatever cold, hard creature of starlight that is inhabiting my body looks to you.
To do what? To take over? Patience in that way?
Take, like, we've got to, like, okay, this one didn't work. Who's that over there?
Okay. My devil's bargain is Patience shadow comes back. It's not her shadow, but she has one again.
Oh, shit.
I was going to ask if I can make my own devil's bargain, which is basically if I do, I mean, it would have to be regardless. So, yeah, basically the shadow would take over. I really like both of those a lot, unless Corndog has anything that you've thought of in the last second.
Those were better.
We could also sort of, I feel like we're playing with a lot of elements of light and shadow. I feel like there's some way to combine them if that's something you're interested in proper. Like,
could we, like Luca said, could we do a 1 if I succeed and 1 if I fail?
I could see that. I was also...
It's a little bending the rules, but up to you as the GM.
I mean, this is our climax, right? So we can do what we want. The rules are at our mercy. We're not at their mercy. The other thing that I was going to suggest maybe is combining them is maybe Patience becomes regardless of the outcome, whether or not Maddox dies and is killed, Patience is inhabited by the starlight, which casts for her a new shadow.
Look at you go. This is why you're the GM.
There it is. There it is. That's it right there.
We'll either have 1 or 2 beings of light and shadow, so
right.
Good luck. So I have no clue what I'm rolling anymore. I have 1 light for my huntery things. Oh, technically, I'm using the Becoming Myth as well, because I'm using the Immobilize something or someone with a bullet.
Okay.
Correct? So that's 1 dark. And then I'm taking 1 light for the Devil's Bargain. Let's see how it goes.
Let's see how it goes.
Big oof. Big oof. My highest light is a 3, and my highest dark is a 4. So I guess 4 counts as my highest, but also it's not higher than my ruin, so I don't go up anymore.
Okay. So a 4 is a success with complication. So how do you kill Maddox?
I would say kind of like how what was Janie's character's name?
Therese.
As Therese?
There we go. Kind of like how Therese kind of stabbed at the glowing thing on her shoulder. No, sorry. How? There we go.
How Judy
How
pressed on
Trudy
Therese.
pressed on Therese and ruined that whole thing. Patience is going to take aim for the splintering and try to basically crack Maddox open. And so she's just going to put a bullet straight into her wound.
Okay. And as this bullet impacts Maddox and their starlight form sort of splinters, how does that starlight then invade and consume Patience? And I'll give that to Luca because, yeah.
I feel like this is, in my mind, this is a very cold, dark light. It bleaches away a lot of the shadow, leaving only those very harsh, very rigid lines of shadow, nothing soft. And it would just escape, like cracking, shattering, and just shining out of Maddox. And just shine, like almost consume you, Patience, settling into your skin, kind of changing you to a more pallid tone, a cool tone, and there would definitely be like a hard shine behind your eyes that will unnerve people for the rest of your living days.
And as that happens, Proper, what does Patience's new shadow look like?
Oh Lord, what does it look like?
Yeah.
I'm
I think
gonna.
Luca's saying maybe the outline of Maddox. It's a suggestion.
That's a good one, but I was going to say, I'm gonna tap into her backstory just a little bit, and or attempt to. First, we're gonna see the change in Patience as her skin becomes almost icy white, and the light behind her eyes is a cold gray, and basically as the light consumes her, it burns her dress, and she's left kind of in. Burns the edges of her dress, and she's like the scarred edges of the dress cascade around her as the light flickers in this cave, and her shadow is not of one person, but of 6. Maddox is among them, but there's also 5 men that she killed.
Okay, and as we see that light brightly illuminate her pallid and icy eyes, illuminating those new shadows cast behind her, we begin to pull up and out of the cave, whistling past these ghostly miners as they bring this cave down, uncertain of the exact outcome. And we leave these characters changed and broken in the dark. And perhaps we'll find out what happened to them in the future, because of course, the future is golden. And that is going to be the end of Devil Aim for Me. So thank you everybody so much for joining us. This has been sort of a prologue to set the scene for our campaign, which we're starting proper with new characters next week, playing a Fistful of Darkness, which is a Weird West hack of Blades in the Dark. If you liked this and want
every
to check
other week,
Oh,
right?
every
Not
other
next
week.
week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I said
Panic!
next week. 2 weeks. Yeah, no, we're bi-weekly. And if you liked this incursion, or if you liked these rules, you can find Trophy Dark online just by, I think it's trophydarkrpg.com. And this incursion can be found on itch.io. The author is Michael Van Vleet. Excellent incursion, really cool. Michael Van Vleet, sorry. And I have been your game master, Z Gonzalez. I'm at Fantasy Ecology, and you can find me on Twitter all around. And I am a game designer. You can find my work on Itch and on the DM's Guild, where I create a lot of 5th edition content. And to my top left is Proper.
Hello, everyone. My name is Proper Nerdy. I'm a TPK staff member, role player, and sometimes game designer. If you also want a interesting way to start a new homebrew campaign, you can try out my game Generational, which is all about the history of a world through the people who lived in it. And you can find that at prprnrd.com. You can find me at Proper Nerdy on Itch, so find my game that way. I will be in several games. I run a monthly show called Madness Calls It Forth, a City of Mist campaign based on Knights of Paintown. Our next episode is in October 18th, I believe. So check that out for sure. Our players are finding lots of very cool secrets hidden in the campaign. And below me is... today I played Patience Hawthorne, a devil of a woman with a dark past and a very deadly shotgun. And below me is Lukalok.
Hi, I'm Lukalok, and today I played Maddox Graves, and they are an opportunistic drifter in the desert, now deceased. However, they did die with their boots on, so I think they are happy. I am all over the place, specifically tonight again. I will be back here along with Janie for Jurassic Park one shot ran by Fazul. So make sure to come back. And over to my left is Janie.
Hi, I played what's her name? Therese, who was taken by the minor earth or something today. She was a homesteader that just wanted to save her sister. But yeah, I'm here later tonight. Just mentioned for the Jurassic Park one shot, and I have something every day this week, I think, until Friday. I just have to make a schedule because I cannot remember it all. But you can follow me on Twitter at JaniePot7575.
And then there's me, Corndog McGraw. You can find me here on Tuesday where we're doing something. You can also just find me around the internets at Corndog McGraw or Coach Corndog. This was really fun. I played Trudy, the preacher's daughter, who I definitely think has just ended up maybe as like a queen of snakes, just dwelling within the mountains here outside of Resurrection.
And yeah, thank you all so much for joining us. I love Trophy Dark. It's a really fun one-shot system designed to push characters to their limits and transform them into snake queens, pillars of light, being swallowed by the earth, etc. Lots of fun. And we will be back in 2 weeks with a new group of characters trying to make a living in Resurrection, which, as you can see, is hard. So thank you all, and have a great afternoon.